talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 10:01, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. We're told it's Michael Carrick's switch to 4 at the back that's made all the difference at Man United.
Just shows that little bit of confidence in the back four. Suddenly the midfield free up a little bit and the attacking flair go, oh, that's a nice balance. Now we're all right. Now I might take a few hits from outside the box.
talkSPORT's Alan Pardew there. United's win at the Emirates cuts Arsenal's lead to 4 points as David Seaman admits the pressure is building up.
You know, because of the history of the last 3 seasons as well. You know, like you said, we've only taken 2 points from 3 from the last 3 games.
Man City and Villa closing in. Arteta's side go to Leeds on Saturday. Here's what Arsenal fans are telling talkSPORT about the title race.
I think we'll still win it. I don't think there's any call for Arteta. That's just nonsense. No. But yesterday was abysmal.
I'm a little bit worried that maybe the big game momentum might not be there.
Like Mikel said, you're going to have bumps in the road, and the mental strength will show in the next game against Leeds.
It doesn't look like Andy Robertson's going to Spurs before his contract expires this summer. Liverpool lacking alternatives at left back. Now, one of Sir Gareth Southgate's best mates is sure we'll see him back in a job this summer.
He's a football person and a good person, and I think, you know, for him not to be involved in football in any capacity would be a real tragedy, and we don't need someone like him, another good English coach, going out the game.
Bromley manager Andy Woodman expects Southgate to return after 2 years out, and organisers at the Australian Open Tennis have moved things around again for the heat. Temperatures in Melbourne could reach 46 degrees tomorrow. Meanwhile, Sinner and Swiatek are into the quarters. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Faster 999 response times, fewer forces and licences for officers are among sweeping reforms planned for policing, and a row's broken out in the Labour Party over whether Sir Keir Starmer's rival can stand in a by-election. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Rain or shine, our mobile tyre fitting service comes to you so you can stay on the sofa this winter. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Wet and windy for most of us this week. Today largely cloudy with rain and hill snow in the northeast. Rain and wind moving into western areas this afternoon.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT. So Manchester United take all 3 points at the Emirates. Our familiar Arsenal frailties coming to the fore. And how soon before the Carrick-In brigade start motoring? Meantime, are Spurs and Crystal Palace too good to be dragged into a relegation battle? Also today, has Liverpool's unbeaten run been exposed for what it is? What next for Leicester City? Has football gone from one extreme to the other, political to apolitical? And north of the border, do Rangers come out as the biggest winner of the weekend? It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we're all live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
I really do mean this. It doesn't get any better than this. World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit is in our midst. Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour, good morning.
Good morning, both. Good morning to you, sir. And Simon Jordan with the cheekiest haircut you'll ever see. Lovely. If you're watching on YouTube, just look at him. Wowzer. You're looking good.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good, Simon. Good to see you. Mr. Petit,
yes.
Monsieur Petit came into the office this morning. Emmanuel, this is one of the many reasons that I love you so much. He comes in and he says, why is everybody is so negative these days? Why is everybody so negative? Where is positivity? Come on.
Of course.
I love it.
I've heard, what people was saying, after the game. I saw what the fans, did after the game. They booed the team, and I've been listening to former players on different stage, and saying the same thing. Mental strains. Are they going to lose the title? Or the same thing, and again, every week like this, It's been like that against Liverpool after the game. It's been like that yesterday after the game, and I'm very tired about it.
You're not having it.
No, I'm not having it.
Arsenal lose at home,
because
and all the heads
Arsenal
go down.
are still first, leading the table, 4 points. The last 5 games. If you took only the last 5 games, they are third on the table. Where are City? Where are Aston Villa? They are far away from them. Aston Villa won yesterday at Newcastle. They lost last week at home against Everton. City is the same. They don't win every single game. So stop the negativity, especially for the Arsenal fans. I want you to support the team until the end. Stop. Yeah, I want you to believe that they are able, they have the strength, the quality to win the title. I'm so tired of it.
Oh, what a start to the show. And that's it from us. Have a great day. No, I mean, not only that, though. Not only that, you're saying you're standing in the
I understand we're living in a very difficult time, in the world, we're living. It's very difficult for everybody, financially, socially. I know it's the same in France. It's the same in so many countries.
Yeah.
We are living in a terrible world. But I just want to say we need more support from ourselves, We need to be more helpful, We need to be there, to support people all the time. We are becoming selfish every single day. Why? Because you have the feeling that if something failed, no one's going to help us. So maybe they're right, but we need to change this negativity. We need to be more positive. And I know that when you look at the press, I'm so tired of the press, to be honest with you. So tired of it.
God, don't tell him
Every
that.
time you switch on the TV, you read the newspapers, always negativity. We are going to die. We are going to be poor. We are going to suffer. We are going to be under the war. Guys, I think we should commit suicide straight away.
No, we're alive.
End the story.
We're alive
This
and well.
is it.
Come on, let's not do that.
Stop it.
Yes.
We need to fight. We need to support ourselves. You need to do some things better. We need to wake up in the morning to be more positive. And we need to be, try to be human, guys.
Yes. Together.
Yeah, together.
Let's be together.
I'm tired of it. I know.
That was a party
You may love Simon, but
I agree with you.
I'm tired of it.
Well, he's singing from your hymn sheet here, is he not?
I mean, positive reinforcement is a very powerful tool. I mean, you can't walk around gurning with a great big grin on your face every single day you get up in the morning, and Monday is probably the worst day of the week, and as the week goes on, people's mood lightens because they're coming back off for a weekend.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that the media around the world delights in telling us doom, doom, and more doom. And you open a window and the birds are singing, you go, what's going on here? But the fact of the matter is that it makes people become downtrodden. The world that we live in makes people become downtrodden. It's about how you approach things. And if you approach things in a positive fashion, there's more likely to be a positive outcome. But going to the Arsenal question, which is where it started, maybe your mate should perhaps, your former teammate, he was at the front of the queue, Patrick Vieira, talking about...
I was with him on the Eurostar yesterday.
Talking about... he talking about the lack of mental strength and resilience that Arsenal appeared to be exhibiting. So if you want people to be positive, maybe you should have icons like Vieira being positive.
I agree with him about one thing. So the leaders on the pitch, I expect more for Declan Rice. I love him. I love you, Declan. But you need to be more vocal on the pitch. You need to show, something, that just check your teammates, sometimes, by the neck, do something. It's the Saliba as well, Gabriel, and I know those leaders on the pitch being more vocal, just like Rocky, Patrick Vieira or Tony Adams back in days, you need to be like this. If you want to become champions, act like champions on the pitch.
What a start to the show. My goodness me. For those who are a bit down today, and if you are a bit depressed, then we hope you're going to brighten up a bit and get a bit of a spring in your step. As Emmanuel said, come on, we're not having doom and gloom. It's not easy for some people out there, but we are with you all the way, and we want you to stick with us. And maybe we'll all get there. Where we're trying to get is 12 noon for Emmanuel. He'll disappear then. Simon and I will still be here until 1 o'clock. But by God, we'll do our best to raise your spirits. That is for sure. Even if You're an Arsenal fan. How was your weekend, son?
Pretty good. I'm recovering from a rather disappointing defeat at the hands of Adam Booth and Josh Kelly on the paddle tennis court, which I don't much like.
All right.
Because it gives Adam Booth the opportunity, the boxing trainer, gives him the opportunity to have bragging
Can I
rights.
ask you, have you ever won at paddle tennis?
Of course I have, repeatedly. I'm just not one of those that wanders around only telling about the bets they place that they win on.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not one of those. I
go.
won this bet today, I won that bet. What about the hundreds of pounds that you ponied up in other bets that we never hear about?
Emmanuel, we're delighted to have you here. There's so much to get through. I just want to say hello to Stanley, who was on the train I was on yesterday. I went to Brentford against Nottingham Forest. Stanley, you're a big Brentford fan. The Bees weren't buzzing. They lost. Nottingham Forest won. You're going to hear from Nottingham Forest legend John McGovern later on in the show. But we have a lot to get through. And we start at the Emirates. And Manchester United came from behind, scoring 2 wonder goals to beat Arsenal by 3-2. Arsenal stunned. Man U took all 3 points, and bizarrely is Emmanuel Petit, World Cup winner and much loved by the Arsenal faithful. As Emmanuel said moments ago, bizarrely there were boos around the Emirates at full time. Patrick Vieira, teammate of this great French player who's in our studio this morning, said they're still 4 points clear, but there's still questions about their mental strength, the mental strength of the team. This is what we're going to get into. This was Arteta post-match.
We accept every opinion, where it comes and where it's coming from, and they will have the right reason to say it. At the end, we have to show the mental strength that we have on the pitch when it comes to match day. And we were absolutely brilliant in Milan, and today we weren't that good. I don't know if it was mental because how much they play, but because we were poor, especially technically in certain aspects of the game, that against a team that when you make those mistakes, they can punish you big time. And that was the difference.
So that was Mikel Arteta responding to the likes of Patrick Vieira's comment about mental strength. You don't see that as any kind of a problem, Emmanuel, do you?
I can see that they look nervous sometimes. They did it, against City when they draw points. I think it was last September. They did it against Liverpool as well. But this is the first time they lost a game at home, and there is no shame to lose a game against Manchester United, especially when you look at this team. They should be on this position, fighting, for the best prices, on the table. So I'm not surprised about the fact they're bouncing back, actually, because they have good players, So I'm not surprised about that. I'm surprised about the fact that people are always pointing Arsenal for the same reason, and it's been like this for 3 years now. But this is not the same Arsenal that used to be, 2 seasons ago. They changed. They are not the same. They're leading the Champions League spot. They're leading the Premier League. They are the best team at home, the second best team away from home. So come on, guys.
But until they win something significant, Emmanuel, can we really say that anything different to what we've known?
Of course. Until they won something, we cannot say that they're champions. But it's like it's becoming fashionable, more and more every single week, when the pressure is becoming higher and higher, that people are saying always the same thing about if they draw points, if they lose 1 point or they make a draw or something, people are always saying the same thing. They're crushing about on the pressure. This is the only reason. It's about that.
Do you think there's a media conspiracy against Arsenal?
I won't say it's a conspiracy, but I think people are loving the way that always pointing in the same direction all the time. So I have a question for them. What about City? What about Aston Villa? What about the rest of the team? What about Liverpool? What about Chelsea? I mean, all those big clubs, they're showing inconsistency, from the start of the season. You don't know what to expect from them.
But Emmanuel, Arsenal have been here before. We are right to ask questions as to whether or not they're going to get over the line. Will they go over the line?
It's not because
it's the same Arsenal until you win something significant.
I know, but it's not the same Arsenal team that happened 2 or 3 years ago. Because
why? What's different?
Because the depth of the bench, it's not the same. The turnover as well. You can see that.
But 3 years on, we're still getting questions about the mental strength.
Well, I agree with Patrick.
From Arsenal legends.
I know, but it's always the same. Former players sometimes, sometimes better not to say something because we all say stupidity sometimes, And it's easy to say that, actually. But if at the end of the season they win something, why are you going to say? If
they win
but at the moment
they haven't done it yet.
It's no 15. I think 15 games to go.
Do you trust Arsenal to go over the line and win the Premier League?
Yes, definitely yes. And everybody has to do that. Starting from the players, from the manager.
Do I trust that? I don't really care about Arsenal, but my nose tells me my nose tells me that they'll win the league because I think the opposition isn't as strong enough to be able to chase them down. And Arsenal will constantly have to listen to these. First and foremost, it's interesting that no one's talking about Arsenal winning a treble. I mean, Arsenal are top of the Champions League by a mile. Gone out and bashed Milan in Milan last week.
Yeah.
They're in the League Cup semi-final and they've won the first leg. They're in the FA Cup. They're top of the Premier League. If this were another club, if this were Liverpool, the media circus would be saying, there's a treble on here.
Yeah.
There's a quadruple on here.
Yeah.
No one's mentioned anything. And it's because Arsenal have created a narrative for themselves 3 years ago. It's like anything. The first impression is the one that lasts longest. I walked into a dressing room once as a football club owner, once in my first week of ownership. And for 10 years later, I'm still being told my chairman walks in the dressing room. Arsenal bottled the Premier League 3 years ago. And until they get across the line, it's a very easy and lazy go-to, which is they haven't got the mental strength. This is a completely different Arsenal side and a better manager.
Jim, I always said that the worst enemy for Arsenal is Arsenal. What I've seen yesterday after the game from the fans is typical of what that should not happen.
Right. Okay.
So be careful.
I'm going to put it out there. What a start from Emmanuel Petit. It's not often Mr. Jordan is as quiet as he's been, but that will change. Arsenal fans, do you sense this time around that there are familiar frailties coming to the fore that might worry you in the longer term? What you saw yesterday, might it be repeated? Are you beginning to get a bit anxious that the frailties may come to the fore again? Or are you as confident as Emmanuel is this morning? An Arsenal legend telling you, this Arsenal is different. Is it? Give us a call. 03717 223344 810 89. And good morning. Bonjour, tout le monde. Good morning, everybody. Monday morning, January the 26th. I'm with Emmanuel Petit. Come on, let's get on our toes, if you like. Let's walk with a purposeful stride today. Let's feel good about ourselves, even if you're an Arsenal fan, after that yesterday at the Emirates. But there's Abby, a Manchester United fan. Good morning to you, Abby. Jim, just listening to Emmanuel Petit there, I expected more from him, but he's just Martin Keown with a French accent. Arsenal bottled it. Arsenal bottled it. End of discussion, says Abby. There's another message coming in from Joe. Arsenal are nervous. Emmanuel Petit has just shown that they're nervous. You see, they're reacting to what you're saying here, Emmanuel. They're latching on to every word. But you think, now this is par for the course. If you're going for the title, you'll hit a day like yesterday.
Of course, you have to deal with your emotions all the time. So you know that you'll be under pressure every time you lose a point.
Yeah.
Especially when you lose a game, that kind of game, at home. But I remember, 2 weeks ago, last week, City and Aston Villa lost, and Arsenal, I think they drew. Yeah. So people were saying, they're gonna lose points after drawing points against Liverpool a week before that, and that's funny because it's like everybody is expecting Arsenal to fail, but in the meantime they're expecting Aston Villa and City to win every single game until the end of the season, which is won't happen. And on top of it, after everything we've said, you look at the schedule of the games. And you realize that Arsenal have played already against Manchester United, against Liverpool. They only have to play away at City, and as well, I think they have one more game against top team. But City and Aston Villa, they have to play four big games until the end of the season. So, I mean,
did you say everybody wants Arsenal to fail?
Not
a lot of people want them to fail. In the media,
because it's been a long time that Arsenal won a title, and so they link the two things together, saying that they're crushing under pressure because they didn't win a single title for 20 years now. So this is why they're saying that, because if Arsenal won a title 2 or 3 years ago, they won't say that.
No, but it's not unfair to question Arsenal's resolve going into the second half of the season, Simon, is it?
I mean, it's the top of the table, so they're there to be shot at. They haven't won a Premier League for 22 years. In the 2-3 years ago, they had a chance and they threw it away. Now, in this instance, playing against Man United probably, the two games, ironically, for Manchester United, probably suited character, playing Man City and Arsenal, two sides that are top of the league that think they can beat Man United. Let's see how Man United go when they play against Fulham next week, in a game that Man United will be expected to win.
Yes.
And the dynamic will change in that game, and then we'll see if the character revolution has some real steam behind it. I look at Arsenal, I think it's a completely different side to the side that played 3 years ago. A manager that's more mature. I thought his post-match interview was very good, very solid. The thing about the post-match interview that irritated me the most was the fact that Arteta was very complimentous about what was going on in front of him, very calm, very reassured, very praising of Manchester United. And then we get the bloody journalists going, but what about the handball? So these managers that I often criticise for getting involved in criticising officials, even when they don't want to, it seems it's the media's job now to drag them into some controversy so we can all sit there.
I agree.
And he didn't bite. And I thought, well done.
There's Daniel Smith. Dan, good morning to you. Arsenal, it's quite simple, are overrated. Their top goal scorer in December was own goals. He says the biggest threat is set pieces. That's not the form of champions. Dan has his doubts. Dan is one of many. Gavin, big Arsenal fan, good morning. You got doubts. How do you feel?
Morning. How you doing, gents? You all right?
Good, Gavin. You've got World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit here, an Arsenal legend, and Mr. Simon Jordan. The floor is yours.
First of all, Emmanuel, due respect, mate, but pipe down on your telling Arsenal fans how they should react, because I seem to remember you running like a rat when you was on the cusp of greatness with that midfield with Vieira and ran off to Barcelona. So you can't talk to Arsenal fans about loyalty.
Before we go anywhere, did you run off like a rat?
No, but people, he's free to say what he thinks,
Wow. Okay, Gavin. Well, you've stopped us in our tracks there.
The last time I remember seeing you in the Premiership was in the blue shirt at Chelsea. But anyway, we move on. Arsenal, unfortunately, we're not showing anything different. I would love for us to be sat here today saying we're killing it, we're going to walk the league, but what are you showing me that's different to the last 3 years? Mental fragility. We're showing that when the pressure's on, we crack. This is why we get called bottle jobs. If you're showing me something different, if you're showing me fight yesterday, then fair enough.
Wow. Does Gavin have a point there, Emmanuel? Does he have a point? Mental fragility.
That I've been hearing that for years and years and years, and that's what I said. If you said that about Arsenal, actually, what can you say about the rest of the Premier League? I mean,
well, the rest of the Premier League, in terms of teams like Chelsea, like Liverpool, Man City, have all lifted the trophy and European trophy.
That's what I said. You link what's happening with Arsenal history for what is happening actually.
This is what I'm saying. Those accusations don't get levied at the other clubs because they've been successful. We have not. We suffered under Arsene Wenger. I mean, that's a whole different conversation for years and years.
So, Gavin, maybe you're anxious this morning, right? This is anxiety.
I've had extreme anxiety the whole season, and that is built off of 3 years now of bottling it. You can't package it up any different.
Let's see if Mark agrees. Mark's a big Arsenal fan. Mark, do you agree with Gavin? Are you anxious?
No. Gavin, sorry, mate. Disrespecting Petit like that, you must be a secret Tottenham fan. Not anxious. You got to remember, yeah, Man United are playing in their favoured positions under a new manager, and they're all trying to prove a point. We're still top of the league by 4 points. We're top of the championship. Simon Jordan got it right. Man United have played two top teams and come out and play with no fear to prove that they should keep their shirts.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're having a nosebleed. It's one game.
Mark, Gavin's still on the line. What do you want to say to Gavin, the previous caller, Mark?
Gavin, get a cup of tea, get a biscuit, chill out, man.
I can't, brother. I wish I could. Listen, they've got to give me something, and I'm not seeing anything different. I'm not seeing. We played against Liverpool the other week. We should have smashed them off the park. They had no Salah, no Ekitike, no Isak, and we couldn't beat them.
What are you saying? What are you seeing that's different, Mark?
What I'm seeing that's different is that everyone's having a go at us about not scoring from open play, but how many times have you seen teams where they're cruising through on luck? Liverpool didn't win every single game last time on open play goals. They got some own goals. They got some rebound. They got all kinds of luck through their season, and we had injuries.
Mark, let me ask you, on this day, Monday, January the 26th, are you going to tell me you're going to win it?
I'm saying yeah.
Good man. Okay. Familiar frailties. Are you anxious? Are you worried about them? We'll carry this on the other side of 10:30. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Emmanuel Petit live in talkSPORT.
We're told Michael Carrick's switch to 4 at the back has made all the difference for Man United.
It just shows that little bit of confidence in the back four. Suddenly the midfield free up a little bit and the attacking flair go, oh, that's a nice balance.
talkSPORT's Alan Pardew there after Man United won at the Emirates, while Patrick Vieira has questioned the mentality of Mikel Arteta's side.
Because it's natural in the process of winning that you're going to lose a match, and it's how you react to that. And the first thing that you have to do is make sure that these guys know how good they are and how much we value what they are doing.
Arsenal go to Leeds on Saturday. Leeds versus Everton is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Andy Robertson will not go to Spurs before his contract expires in the summer. Liverpool lack alternatives at left-back. Now, we're told to expect Sir Gareth Southgate back in a job this summer.
He's a football person and a good person, and I think, you know, for him not to be involved in football in any capacity would be a real tragedy. And we don't need someone like him, another good English coach, going out the game.
That's Andy Woodman, Bromley manager and Sir Gareth's best man, who says Southgate will turn up somewhere after 2 years out of the game. And in the Australian Open, defending champion Madison Keys lost to her friend and podcast co-host Jessica Pegula. Keys lost a bet over their last 16 match, so now has to eat apple pie with cheese on it. There's more on our website at talksport.com.
What a start to the show this morning from French World Cup winner, Arsenal legend Emmanuel Petit has given us. Emmanuel,
apparently another legend for everybody.
Well, for Gavin, the Arsenal fan who called in a little moment ago, he is coming in. Gavin, in your absence, mate, you're coming in for a lot of stick from other Arsenal supporters because you dared to question Emmanuel's reasons for leaving Arsenal. You went to Barcelona and then you ended up at Chelsea. He's annoyed that you finished your Premier League career, if you like, in a Chelsea shirt. Why did you leave Arsenal?
Why? Because first I didn't want to leave Arsenal, but I had no choice because Arsene. That was straight after the European competition you won with France, and I was driving in Paris, and I received a phone call, from Arsene Wenger, and saying that they agreed, with Barcelona for the transfer with Marc Overmars and I. And I said, okay, so what should I do? And he said, you should agree as well with the Barcelona, on the term of the contract. So I had no choice, but to leave Arsenal. So it was for me very difficult, to go over there, even thinking that Barcelona is still, for me, one of the biggest clubs in the world. So it was kind of big challenge for me, the last contract of my career. But
you didn't leave Arsenal in the way you would have liked to have left them.
No, honestly, I love my time over there. I like my time, and I really appreciate what I did as well for Chelsea. But to answer, what this fan said, first of all, I just wanted to say two things. He's not on live anymore, but the first one is when you're a football fans, and you support a club, you should be positive, not negative all the time. The anxiety you bring, reflects the environment that the players are living in. And second thing is that if you judge my career on what I've done, you have to judge what I did, with Arsenal. Simple as that. Not what I've done afterwards or before that.
You've got a wry smile, Mr. Jordan.
Well, the only reason he's being judged because he wagged his finger at them. If Thierry Henry came on here and wagged his finger at them,
Patrick Vieira as well.
And if Patrick Vieira came on here and
everyone
and told the fans how to behave,
Robert Pires,
that particular fan is not reacting to the fact he went to Barcelona and criticising him for that. They're reacting to the fact that he's telling them how to behave. and then they're citing the fact that he didn't stick around at Arsenal. So I understand both sides of the argument.
But I can, to a degree, understand, Emmanuel, why Arsenal fans might react in the way they did, because it was as much of a surprise to you as it was to them. Because all of a sudden, Petit's going, Overmars is going. Was that call?
Yeah, but they became invincible afterwards.
But was that the first time you heard about Barcelona's interest when Wenger called you?
Yeah. So, sometimes, especially right now with all the, the pressure financially, you see so many players leaving the club, and it's a pity, for the fans. And most of the time, players, sometimes they are not happy to leave the club, but they have no choice to do.
Yeah.
So it's, you need to find the right balance.
I think at the time you cited personal reasons, did you not? That some of the family wanted to live in nicer climes, nicer weather.
Yeah,
warmer
top
weather.
of it, yeah. It's sunny in Barcelona.
So was that driven by you, or was it driven by other family members, or was it driven by Wenger?
No, not by Wenger. But when I saw that Arsenal, especially Arsene, didn't do anything, to keep me at the club, I thought to myself, this is it.
Did you think he would?
Yeah, because, it was quite hard for me, to understand afterward that 6 months after I left, I received a phone call from Arsene saying that I want you to be back at Arsenal. It's like
he wanted you back.
Yeah, it's like just like Alex Ferguson, or Claudio Ranieri, who came to Barcelona in my home. We had a lunch. That's why I signed for Chelsea, because I received 2 phone calls from Sir Alex Ferguson. He was aiming to bring me to Manchester United, and Arsene called me as well, and he said, I think we made a mistake. You should come back, to Arsenal. And I thought to myself, why you didn't do anything, to keep me at Arsenal? And then all of a sudden you change your mind. It's like, so
you said no to Wenger.
It's like you're divorcing from your wife, and after 3 months you realize it's a mistake, and you want to go back to the whole days. That's impossible. It doesn't work like that.
So you chose Chelsea over a return to Arsenal?
I chose Chelsea because it was in London. I wanted to live in London, but as well, I chose Chelsea because Claudio Ranieri came physically, and we had such a nice time together. He convinced me, his personality. He was so sweet, so gentleman. For me, human being is more important sometimes than what you decide, professionally.
Wow. And I didn't know.
I know it's weird what I'm saying, especially in this world we're living in.
Yeah.
Especially in football world, where numbers matters, that coming first in front of the human being.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the calls in a second, but you weren't worried, Emmanuel, about tainting your Arsenal legacy by saying yes to Chelsea?
Yeah.
That didn't worry you?
No.
And the rest was history?
Because this is the industry of football. I can understand why the fans are sometimes getting angry about that, But as I said, people, some Arsenal fans may be unhappy by the fact that I joined Chelsea, or maybe some Chelsea fans being unhappy as well that I coming from Arsenal.
Sure.
But it's been like this for so many former players. So what we should do?
Exactly. Let's go to Lee, who's a big Arsenal fan. Lee, good morning. Do you share Emmanuel's positivity that Arsenal fans should get right behind the team more at this particular time?
100%. Absolutely, 100%. I totally agree with everything Manu said from the first word he spoke. I heard when he came out just after 10. I actually agree with everything he said. A matter of perception and perspective, we've got to get it into perspective. We're still top of the league. We're 4 points clear.
Yeah.
The positivity. We're not going to go the rest of the season unbeaten. It was inevitable we would lose a game, right? And it's just so happened it came against the resurgent United. And get behind the club. Get behind the club and support us. This is our season. We're going to do it. Manu is absolutely spot on, mate.
Okay, Lee.
Absolutely
good to hear you getting behind Emmanuel for that. Femi, another big Arsenal fan. Femi, do you share Lee's optimistic outlook that come on, get behind the team. We can all do this.
First of all, I want to say Petit's a legend. I saw Petit and Vieira, 98, fantastic. Anyway, I don't share Lee's optimism, and I've seen the cracks appear. I saw the cracks appear first when we played Liverpool. We should have smashed them off the park. Then Forest, we were abject. We only started playing in the 85th minute. I don't think our manager has a plan B. It's down to the manager and the team's flaky mental attitudes. it's all summed up when he sends out our best creative young player in Ranieri to France. He's relegated Skelly and broken his confidence to third place as a left back in the team. He doesn't believe in the young players. He plays the same old play system. When I watch Arsenal, even when they're winning games, I turn down the TV. It's sideways, backwards, sideways, backwards, and we win by a corner. Watching Arsenal, I want to pull my eyes out. No. We don't have a plan B, and we can't go to the next level. That's why we're not going to win anything next season.
Emmanuel Femi does not share your positivity.
I know. I understand what he's saying, and it's been, I think, opinion shared by a lot of people. Actually, I don't share that. I disagree with that, because I still believe that Arsenal are going to win the title. And you can point so many troubles, so many problems, I agree with you, but I think it's the same with so many teams in the Premier League. So, I mean, the environment we're building around Arsenal right now is not good at all. And from the fans, starting from the fans, I think they need to change their behavior, in the ground, because that reflects,
But who should drive this optimism?
The impact that
the players need to drive it, don't they?
The players, they feel it, They feel the impact, the negativity, the pressure, they feel the anxiety.
Yeah.
They don't need that. They need the support, especially right now. And when you look at the game they've played, during the Christmas time, they play big games, they play Champions League. They are qualified for every single competition. They're leading most of them, and still people are questioning.
But should they not show the mental strength here, Emmanuel?
So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask a question to every people that are questioning the mental strength of Arsenal, especially Arsenal fans. What are you expecting from them? To win every single game 4-0? Play like a Barca, the like of Xavi, Messi and co?
Let's ask Andy, who's a big Arsenal fan. Andy, what do you expect from your team?
Yeah, good morning. Emmanuel, thanks for some great years, mate. I find myself in deep water because I'm agreeing with Simon a little bit. As I said to the lady on the phone, what we lack, and I think every Arsenal fan would, so when you sit in a stadium and watch us, if we go in for a 50-50 tackle, you'll see our players bending over the player they've had to tackle with, going, are you okay? Patting them on the back, shaking their hands. This is a war. Patrick Vieira, probably for me the greatest player that I ever saw, alongside Emmanuel as well in that midfield, used to fight and battle. Don't worry about the other players. Get involved. So when Emmanuel's just asking what we want some fire. I want somebody to go in for a tackle and not worry about the consequences. Get the crowd behind you. It's so clear.
Andy, Emmanuel's nodding. Clear. You're nodding.
I totally agree with that. That's what I said, previously. I said I don't get, all the negativity, but there is one thing I agree with Patrick about what he said yesterday. Leaders on the pitch. I want Declan Rice. I want Saliba. I want Gabriel. I want those guys. I want Saka, just to grab, their teammates, by the neck, sometimes just to scream at them, just to show how violent they can be, even if they can be, that they're, for the fight on the pitch, but as well for their teammates.
Emmanuel, but at the start of the show,
I remember back in days.
This Arsenal team is different. You said to me this Arsenal team, and now you're questioning the leadership.
This is the only thing, I'm worried about is this, the leaders on the pitch. I totally agree with Patrick about what he said. I want the like of Tony Adams, the like of Martin Keown, the like of Patrick Vieira. I want those guys, to be actually on the pitch with Arsenal, because they are good players at Arsenal, a really good team, but they need this character.
Simon, those days have gone, haven't they?
It's not linked with the mental strength. It's linked with the personality. This is different.
Yeah, but I think there's a storm in a teacup and people building things into narratives, because the idea that Arsenal top of the league doesn't suit. If Arsenal aren't described in a certain way in the context of a conversation post the game, there's nothing to talk about. The fact is, Aston Villa came to Arsenal at the turn of the year in peak form, and they got sent packing 4-1. They beat Brighton prior to that. They've beaten Inter Milan. They've had a couple of bad results. They've drawn with a Liverpool side where they were disappointing in that game. They were disappointing against Forest. In the middle of that, they go to Inter Milan and smash Inter Milan.
Right.
So I look at it and say it's an easy go-to about their mental capacity and their inability to be able to overcome adversity. We'll see against Leeds on the weekend. If they go to Leeds and they don't play well against Leeds, then people can start.
It's going to be a battle at least.
It'll be a battle. Calafiori is a player that puts himself about, but he's not in the team right now. And this idea that you've got these Roy Keanes, Patrick Vieira, Emmanuel Petit sort of characters, they've been edged out of the game because the way that we create our leaders now is we don't have demonstrative, passionate people. We have people that lead by their technical ability.
We're going to take calls from Manchester United fans in a second. We'll talk Manchester United and Michael Carrick in a moment. Emmanuel, do Arsenal win this Premier League?
Yes.
There you go. That's all you needed to hear this morning. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we are live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Good morning, everybody. It is Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT. So much to get through this morning. In time, we're going to talk about slots Liverpool. Of course we will. We're going to talk about a bunch of things. Manchester City and where they're at with Pep Guardiola in the time that we have with Emmanuel Petit. World Cup winner, of course, with the French, and an Arsenal legend. Of that, there is no doubt. What did we see in Manchester United yesterday? Manchester United, under interim, the interim who took over from the interim, Darren Fletcher is gone. In comes Michael Carrick. And now, 2 wins from 2, beating Manchester City and Arsenal at the Emirates yesterday. Now, what is this? Is it new manager bounce? What is it? And what does it tell us more about? Does it tell us more about United under Carrick or United and what they were like under Amorim? This was Carrick post-match.
I'm not getting carried away. We've got some bigger games coming up, because every next game's the bigger game. So we're not getting carried away. You know, we've got really important things coming up that we need to kind of keep improving with. So 2 massive games. There's a lot of emotion and a lot of energy and a lot of confidence that you can take from that. But be humble and understand how we've got these results is really important moving forward.
Simon, 2 wins from 2. Manchester City and Arsenal, both been beaten. Does it tell us more about Carrick or more about Amorim?
I think it probably tells us a bit more about Amorim. I mean, ultimately, as I said earlier on, the 2 games that they're playing in are 2 games in which the opposition came to win. And United, I thought United were outstanding against Man City, and I tried to work out whether it was Man United being outstanding or Man City being off it, and it was a little bit of both. The players are being played in positions that they clearly like. They like the manager. It would appear that a lot of them didn't like the manager. Kobe Manu, whatever issues he may have had with Amorim, might have been legitimate ones from Amorim's point of view, but he doesn't have the same issues with Carrick. So Carrick has a free range to pick the player without all the baggage that might have got the player discounted from the equation. He goes into the side. They look better as a result of it. The players look livelier. They look happier. You know, it looks as if a light switch has been turned on, the same light switch that Martin O'Neill turned on at Celtic and off when he left and then back on again. Yeah. You know, it will always be down to players. You can pick all the formations in the world, but if players don't want to play or operate at a higher level, then they won't. My big thing with Man United is to see them in games like the Fulhams of the world that are difficult to play against. And the expectation level goes up. The game has to be made by Manchester United. If you look at the possession in both of these 2 games against Manchester City and against Arsenal, I would suggest the ball was dominated by Arsenal and Man City. So it puts a different onus on Man United than it will do against Fulham. But you have to give credit where credit's due. Michael Carrick has gone in there and probably been very sensible, very aspirational. All this load of old crap about he knows the football club and so on and so forth, and that's what makes the difference. And I heard some of that tripe come out of one of the players' mouth last night. It's got nothing to do with it. He's clearly just producing an environment which is not Amorim.
Yeah, so it's not Amorim. The Carrick in brigade start motion.
Well, they're already starting. Besides Roy Keane, of course, they're already starting.
Well, Emmanuel, what do you make of that? Simon's hit upon that. Well, Roy Keane on Michael Carrick, 2 great performances, but anyone can win 2 games, even if they get into 4th. I still wouldn't be convinced he's the man for the job. Absolutely not. They need a bigger and better manager. Do they?
Well, if you point the responsibility of the manager, I think it's quite easy because let's say the facts are very simple. United has won again every single team on top of the table. Newcastle, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, all of them, Chelsea, they beat every single team. So what is the real level of this team? Is it because of the manager? I don't think so. I know that Amorim has brought a very difficult environment. His communication was bad, his body language as well. But in the meantime, how can you explain that a team like this has won against every single team that's competing for the Champions League spot, but as well for the title, and then all of a sudden they can lose games at home against average team and be so good against top teams? So if anyone can tell me what's the answer, what
do you think?
I think that the players, the responsibility of the players are coming first. I think they're choosing their games. I think they are not doing exactly what you should expect for a player that's wearing a Manchester United shirt. I think those guys are competing, against top teams. We saw that last season again in the European League. They reached the final. They lost against Tottenham. But in the meantime, when big games coming, they're here. They're here. They hope for it. They hope for it. But when it comes against average teams, all of a sudden they are not there anymore. They don't prepare themselves the same way. They're not showing the same strengths mentally and collectively as well on the pitch. The quality they bring, the personality as well. That's what I'm saying. You can point the finger of Amorim. You can say that Carrick is doing a good job. But for me, the trouble is the players. They are choosing their games.
Doesn't matter who's in the dugout. Doesn't matter who the manager.
How many managers they've changed? for the last few years at Manchester United.
Yeah.
It's been like this.
Too many to
So you change a manager, you keep the same players, and the same troubles coming. So are you telling me this because of the manager? It's because of the players.
The players.
I mean, they're also fresher. They're not playing 2 games in a week, so they can approach these games. These two games. It's got their European competition, so the other teams are running around playing midweek games. And I don't go into that territory of explaining it, but it does give Man United advantage. I do agree with Roy's perspective that Carrick perhaps should be discounted from the job, but not quite for the reasons that he doesn't seem to be putting forward. He just seems to be saying, not Carrick. Well, why not Carrick? Not Carrick.
Why are you saying not Carrick?
Because I think in the longer game, I think Michael Carrick operating with Man United will find the same troubles that previous managers have had, and they weren't equipped with even the experience that they've got to be able to overcome it. I think you need to get the right manager in there. Ruben Amorim, to me, I could not understand the dynamic of what Man United fans were allowing Ruben Amorim to say and what Ruben Amorim was doing. The team was getting no better, and the fans seemed to be encouraging him. He was a manager that popped into the UK and photobombed West Ham for a job, and Man United were desperate to get him in because of his achievements in Portugal. And nothing that Ruben Amorim did seemed to make Man United any better. It seemed to make them worse. The backstories to Ruben Amorim's observations was always something that was extreme, from the worst Man United side that you've ever seen to the ridiculousness of the performance against Grimsby. And yet the Man United fans saw him as a salvation because he wasn't a Glazer and he wasn't Jim Ratcliffe. So that other than that, you can see no reason why Amorim was the manager. So Man United have got to pick a manager that's capable, really properly capable of getting hold of this football club in all its different aspects to be able to take it forward. And I'm not sure Carrick has the experience
Emmanuel,
to do that.
Let me put you right on the spot. Mm-hmm. Who is that person that should take over this club?
I have no idea, because I've seen things I don't like at all at Manchester United in the back room, just like what happened, with Chelsea with Maresca. It's like people are whispering into the board here, all the time. Who should play? Who should be on the bench? Who should do that? Who should do this? What the first 11 you should pick up all the time? It's been like this with Maresca and Amorim as well. So I know what happened to Amorim. The last few weeks before he left the club, and it's been like this with Maresca. And he started as well during the World Cup club, with Maresca. He was quite upset about some people walking in the backstage, and then whispering that you should do this, you should do that. I am the manager. I do what I think is good for the team and the club. So this is my responsibility. You pay the wages for me for that. So leave me. That's my mission. So you ask me, who's the next manager for Manchester United? The one who could be a puppet.
See, I don't think that's right. I think the person that, if you do your job and you do it well, then you earn the right to be left alone. If you don't do it well, then you earn the right to be queried.
How many managers has been to Manchester United bench? How many great managers have been there?
That's not necessarily for the reasons that you're outlaying, which is the puppet side of things. I don't think it's because the Glazers wanted to pick the side. Do you? I think it's because they've bought bad players and they've lost the culture of the football club. The manager that I would advocate for, and no one, Aston Villa fans won't like to hear it, is somebody like Emery. Somebody like Emery that's got the ability to run the football club, that has the detail and the attention to detail, knows the English Premier League, and his biggest frustration at Aston Villa is he doesn't have the money. Now, whether we can argue about how much money Man United have left is a different discussion, but when they want to find money, they can find it. So the one thing that Emery would get if he went to Man United was money, and the one thing he knows how to do is put a team together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So someone like
with
Emery,
a proper vision.
With a proper vision.
Let's put it out there. From what we've seen, and what we have seen has been impressive. Michael Carrick, 2 wins from 2, beating Manchester City and Arsenal. But what has it told us more about? Is it told us more about Michael Carrick, or has it told us more about the previous regime under Ruben Amorim? And who do you want to get the job? Do you have a name for me this morning? 03717 223344. It's 11.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 11:03, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Arsenal fans, talkSPORT's Emmanuel Petit has a message for you.
I want you to support the team until the end. Stop. Yeah, I want you to believe that they are able, they have the strength, the quality to win the title. I'm so tired of it.
Petit's just reminding everyone, especially despite the loss at Man United, Arsenal have more points from their last 5 games than Villa or City. So how are those fans feeling?
We were 4 or 5 players really off peak yesterday, gents, and we gave Man United far too many opportunities.
I don't think Saka's been at it for the best part of a year. Throwing his hands up every time he doesn't get a receive a pass.
We could fumble it if we're not careful, We could.
Arsenal go to Leeds on Saturday, who have a striker we're told should be off to the World Cup this summer. Here's Jermaine Beckford on Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Incredible in front of goal, what he offers. I know, Gab, you're talking about Ollie Watkins, and I'm a huge admirer of his as well. I don't see why they both shouldn't be on the plane.
Everton versus Leeds is live on talkSPORT from 7 p.m. Meanwhile, breaking news, Hill Dickinson's getting its first senior men's international. Scotland will play Ivory Coast in a friendly there on March 31st. Bournemouth have agreed a loan deal with Lazio for 24-year-old Greece goalkeeper Christos Mandas. And here's our chief football correspondent Alex Crook with an update on Andy Robertson to Spurs.
It's not definitely off, and obviously there's still a week to go in the window, but at the moment it looks like Robertson will stay and see out his contract. If the move does happen to Spurs, I'm told the fee would be around about £5 million, inclusive of add-ons.
Liverpool say they lack alternative to let Robbo leave this month. All the latest transfer news at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Prime Minister's standing by his decision to block Andy Burnham from standing to be an MP, and faster 999 response times, fewer forces are among changes to policing in England and Wales due to be announced later. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Whatever the winter weather, Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres, guaranteed for 25,000 miles. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
It's not looking good out there. Largely cloudy, wet in the northeast, rain and wind moving into western areas. Tomorrow, Storm Chandra will bring heavy rain and snow across the country.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know if it's because we have a World Cup winner in our midst, and he is Emmanuel Petit alongside Simon. It's a pretty powerful duo. But my God, the number of messages and texts and calls coming into this show are off the scale this morning. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we are live in talkSPORT. I'm going to return to the Manchester United topic in a second. But on Arsenal, so many messages coming in. Emmanuel, can you just condense an answer for me here? Mm-hmm. Here is one. Declan Rice.
Yeah.
I love the guy, but what is he? Does he dictate the tempo of a game? No. Does he play killer passes? No. Has he enough of a goal threat at this time? No. I'm Arsenal through and through, but I need answers on Declan.
For me, as I said, I'm expecting more from him and the like of Saliba as well, Gabriel, those guys, who's been amazing for 2-3 seasons now. They are leaders, on the pitch, but I want them to be nasty. I don't want them to be Mr. Nice Guy anymore. Declan Rice is such a decent guy, such a sweet guy, on and off the pitch. But I want... If you listen to that, Declan, I want you to be nasty on the pitch. I want you to bully, the opponent. I want you to be nasty with your teammates as well. I want those guys, to show we are thinking about being champions. So we want you. I want you to act like a champion. You are acting like champion, but it's missing something, in your character and personality on the pitch. I want you to be just like Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, Tony Adams. I want the opponents to fear you on the pitch. Every single time you have to fight for a ball.
Got you. There is Terry, big Arsenal fan. What does Emmanuel think of Gyökeres? The jury's out. Is it? What do you think? Is he good enough?
Well, he's struggling, and I think he's crushing under so much pressure. But I said to Simon, and I've been saying that with many people, name one player who's been 10 goals, in the season, all competitions. The best scorer so far, Arsenal, is Trossard. I think it's 7 goals, all competitions. We are end of January.
Trossard.
Yeah, the only time I've seen recently in the Premier League history who won the title is Manchester City when they were playing without a striker, and they had probably 5 or 6 players scoring between 10 and 15 goals. So Saka is not scoring goals, Odegaard is not scoring goals, Martinelli is not scoring goals, Gyökeres is not scoring goals. So if you point the fingers at Gyökeres, I think the movement into the penalty area as well, the link between the players, up front is not that good. And it's not only the responsibility of Gyökeres, it's the vast majority of the players on the pitch.
But on Gyökeres, are you convinced about Gyökeres?
No, not yet. Not yet. I think Jesus, is doing good, since he came back. And this is good for the competition, to earn your place, on the first 11. But Gyökeres has been, his mission is to score goal, and you can see that he's having a lot of pressure, every time he's got a ball, in the penalty area.
Will you end up being convinced longer term? Is he going to do it?
No, I'm not convinced that Gyökeres will win the title for Arsenal. I'm only convinced about the fact that other players have to take responsibility as well in front of the goal, and this is not the case actually.
And you want Declan to be even
That's why people
nasty.
are putting the finger off set pieces all the time.
Yeah.
I want more players to score goals.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
And you want Rice to be nasty with his own team.
Yes, Saliba as well, Gabriel. I want them to be nasty,
What was the nastiest moment for you in an Arsenal shirt with one of your own?
I've seen so many fights in the dressing room, Arsenal on the pitch as well, people that were screaming at each other, teammates, because we were aiming,
Did you fight with a teammate?
I never had a fight with teammates because I'm quite, not shy in the dressing room. I let that, to other players, their personality. I just want to do what I have to do on the pitch. But I totally agree with some players, with the national team, it was the case as well.
Yeah.
During the halftime, I've seen so many players, almost ready to fight because they were aiming to win that game. So this is the right mentality you should do.
Wow. Manchester United showed a bit of fight yesterday and they won at the Emirates. But what does it tell us more about? Does it tell us more about Michael Carrick's Manchester United or Ruben Amorim's Manchester United? And is there anyone out there who's on board with Carrick getting the job full time? Alex, good morning. Big United fan. What are your thoughts?
Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Great show. First time caller, so don't bite me head off, Simon.
You're welcome. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I went to the game yesterday and fantastic, and I totally agree with what you're saying. Carrick, yeah, brilliant. He's only had 2 games, but we can only enjoy what we're watching so far from him. There's no crystal ball out there. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. But what I can say is we're playing better football. There's a better feel around the club. Last week at Old Trafford, it felt different. At the end of the game, you saw Casemiro jumping over Carrick. You didn't see these things with Ruben.
Yes.
And he was so stuck in his ways.
Yes.
And that's what I get. It's just a different feeling, personally.
Different feeling.
I just told, I've got and I've got a load of mates to say to me, I hope Carrick gets it because he'd fall into the same trap. You can't say that. We're not going to fall into the same trap because nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. But all we can do is enjoy what we're enjoying now.
What a good call. Alex, first call or not, a super one. Thank you. Gary, good morning. Is Carrick doing it for you and doing it enough to get the job full time? What do you think, Gary?
I just have one little thing that's nagging me. He's come in and he's become the manager and he's put a very good backroom staff with him, especially Steve Holland, who's an experienced coach, been around, done lots of things. But is this the thin end of a wedge to get Gareth Southgate in there, who I don't want in there as a manager?
Well, I've got a rough idea where this will go. Simon, what do you think? I mean, Steve Holland has many fans, many supporters out there.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, Steve Holland, and people are drawing the connection between the fact that Steve Holland worked with Gareth Southgate in England. Naturally, there's going to be a shoe into the fact that Southgate goes to Man United. And there's been rumours going around that Jim Ratcliffe likes Gareth Southgate. If Jim Ratcliffe believes that Gareth Southgate is the answer to fixing the malaise of catapulting Manchester United back to the top of the table, then I think Man United fans should be even more concerned about the ownership model they've got in there. The interesting thing will be is Man United have got Fulham, Tottenham, West Ham, Everton and Palace in the next 5 games. All of those games now, they will be expected to potentially win. When we've had these 5 games, then we can start talking about what Carrick is actually doing and how he's done against lesser sides rather than the Hollywood moments against 2 sides. And this constant Arsenal situation, the fascinating thing for me with Arsenal will be how they bounce back against Leeds. Because if they bounce back they've lost to Man United. Who else they lost to recently? We're talking about the draw against Nottingham Forest and draw against Liverpool.
That's pretty much it.
Defending champions, Liverpool, that everyone seems to think are mugs.
Yeah.
The fact is that Arsenal are top of the league, and the only bad result they've really had is losing to Manchester United. And all of a sudden, we're questioning them.
Finish this section on a Manchester United theme. Nathan, finish it for me. If not Carrick, who do you want to see take over the hot seat? Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, guys. It's great. I listen to you all the time. First-time caller, Jim, Simon, amazing.
Thank you.
Carrick, I think he's done the simple things right. He's come in and he's put round pegs in round holes. I don't know what he does on the training ground, but he's just done the simple things and you're seeing a different team. And I think in the past we've jumped and said, I'll give him a long-term contract, make him full-time. I think hold off to the end of the season and then see what happens. And for Arsenal fans, your team is going to win the league. Please get behind it. It pains me to say it, but Emmanuel is absolutely right. This team are quality, and you weren't playing against the old Manchester United yesterday. It was back like the olden days where you didn't know what was going to happen. Either team could have won. We battered City last week. We did not batter you yesterday. It could have gone either way.
Brilliant,
so, yeah.
Nathan. Nathan, brilliant. Emmanuel,
thank you.
There's the positivity you were looking for, but it's from a Manchester United fan.
It's rare. Thank you very much, because you are more positive than some Arsenal fans. So I really appreciate that.
Jose Mourinho had the job some time ago. He has a birthday today. He's 63 today. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. course, it's not lost upon us what is going on in Scotland. Over the weekend, Hearts came from behind to draw 2-2 with Celtic, and Rangers got themselves a win at Ibrox over Dundee. Hearts on 51 points, Rangers on 47 points, Celtic on 45 points. I wonder how interim boss, our old chum Martin O'Neill, is feeling this morning. We'll get to that, but while we have Emmanuel Petit in our midst, we shall crack on with events in the Premier League, of course. And a big question this morning, are Spurs and Crystal Palace too good to be dragged into a relegation battle? The reason I ask, Spurs snatched a point away at Burnley in the last minute. Palace were beaten 3-1 at home to Chelsea. Both clubs sit on 28 points, 8 clear of West Ham, who are in 18th. West Ham, they've revved their engines. They've embarked on a mini revival with 2 wins on the bounce, while Nottingham Forest, and I was there to watch them beat Brentford, and Leeds are just 3 points adrift of Palace and Spurs. So what is next? Now, we're going to hear in a second from Glasner of Palace. Palace are now winless in 11. Spurs have won 2 of their past 14 league games. My goodness, Simon, if ever the question needs asked, it needs asked now. Are Spurs and Palace too good to be drawn into this?
No, they're not too good to be drawn in it. They might just have too many points on the board already. It depends what we think is going to keep teams in the division. West Ham have had a little ray of sunshine in terms of the last 2 results. Both of them have been very good results because Sunderland don't get beat easy. And going to Spurs and beating Spurs, albeit Spurs fans will say this is what happens with Spurs now, it still was a good performance to get a result and give them a bit of confidence. But my view is that, you know, West Ham have now got Chelsea coming up next, and so we might see a bit of correction there. Forest's win yesterday was a massively important situation. But going to your original question, I don't think they're too good to get relegated. I think they've just got too many points. Unless we're going to see a record sort of 40 point keeps you in the division rather than the 31, 32, 33, 34 points that's kept in people in the division for the last few years, I don't see them being pulled into it. They've got to straighten up. I mean, Spurs fans, whatever they may or may not think, can't be singing to their manager getting sacked in the morning. I think it's appalling.
Well, we're going to talk about Palace because next up for Palace in the league, Forest away, Brighton away, Burnley at home, Wolves at home, and with his fellow countryman, Emmanuel Petit, in the studio. Let's talk about Jean-Philippe Mateta, who it's understood wants to leave the club, and he was booed by some Crystal Palace supporters as he was withdrawn. Now, this might seem a bit rich to some Palace fans, but Glasner spoke about togetherness post-match. Have a listen.
It's a tough period for everyone, but I think what characterized Crystal Palace and characterized our fans is that they always stick together and support each other, and that's why, you know, I think it's important never to forget what JP has brought to this club in the last years is a moment to support, because now, and I told this quite often, you know, 19 games unbeaten, nice, you know, it's nice here to talk and easy, and so, but now it's to support each other. Yeah?
Emmanuel, as you'll know, Glasner announced just in recent days he's going at the end of the season. So, Simon, is that not do as I say, not as I do? I mean, Glasner hasn't exactly set the right example here, has he?
Well, he hasn't said anything
about togetherness.
Well, is he saying that? He's talking about the fact that he should be supported rather than booed. I mean, everyone's entitled to leave if they want to. If the player decides he wants to leave, it's Palace's job to get the maximum amount of return for him or not sell him. It's up to them. The player's entitled to leave. He's not entitled to down tools. He's not entitled to not play well while he's still being picked for the side. But he is entitled to say to the club, if at all possible, I'd like to leave if you get the money that you want from me.
Well, he's saying he's going.
Well, no, he's not. He's saying he wants to leave.
And then the other
breath, he can't say he's going because he's not going. He'll go when the club determines.
What characterises Palace and our fans is that we always stick together.
Yeah.
So do you, Oliver? No.
But Oliver's contract runs out. Was he duty bound then to sign a new contract? I mean, he is his job. I don't like his outburst last week. I think it's unnecessary. I think it hurts him just as much as it potentially hurts the team because it diminishes his reputation. And ultimately what he's doing in that press conference is padding the way for this wonderful group of players. He did it all after the game. What a wonderful group of players. Unbelievable what they're producing. Right? Because what he's basically saying to the board is, this is what I've got to work with. These boys are absolutely working their socks off and you've given me nothing. Besides the fact they bought a £35 million Brennan Johnson, which he seems to have forgotten. He was never going to sign a contract. And the reasons why he was going to never sign a contract is because Palace gave him no reasons to sign a contract. What do you give to a guy that's put you into Europe, that's won you an FA Cup, that's done it with very little money, done it with his best players being sold, I tell you what you give him. You sell the next best player, right, in Eberechi Eze. So what's the manager going to do? He's going to turn around and go, well, this is what I've got. Now, he must have known that's what he's got to some extent when he signed to Palace, but he signed a 2.5-year contract. He doesn't have to sign a new one. The only thing I disagree with him on is he didn't need to have that outburst last week. He agreed with his owner that they weren't going to say anything, and because he had a tantrum, because he's having a turn about the fact they got beaten in a game,
He put it out there.
He put it out there. And that's the only thing he's done
He said
wrong.
they were feeling abandoned. He feels abandoned.
From the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a long conversation as well with Steve Parish, no? Apparently.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
And I think, I agree, I totally agree with you, Simon, about what you said. I think this is the reality of so many clubs, actually, you know, financially, you know, they are living under so much pressure, so they have to make choices, you know, and sometimes they have to sell their best players. So he knew it. So he decided to sign the contract. So I don't understand why he's having this kind of comments position. Actually,
Emmanuel, only a few months back, Mateta claimed that his former teammate Wilf Zaha laughed at his dream
I read that, yeah.
of representing the French national team. Is Jean-Philippe Mateta an elite striker?
He's not the first option, you know, for the national team. He's a good striker, you know. I think he's having two very good season so far with Crystal Palace. I think he scored so many goals and assists as well. And for the first time, you know, it's been a long time that I think the first time they won something big, you know, Crystal Palace, you know, the FA Cup as well, the Charity Shield straight after that. And he's been part of it. And I think he was very important for the team. But actually, if you tell me that he's among the best strikers in the world, I would say no. There is so many strikers, you know, in front of him. And you can see the national team, you know, in France. He's not the first option, and we have so many names, you know, that come first, you know, on the first 11.
I mean, it's a World Cup year.
Yeah,
he's wanting out, and he wants to go.
I think it's going to be tight, difficult for him to be part of the squad.
You think he'll struggle to get in the squad?
He has a chance, a slight chance. He's been part of the squad, you know, recently, but doesn't mean that he's going to be there, you know, at the end of the season, because so many players has been missing, you know, the last few months.
Simon, on Spurs. Thomas Frank and the Spurs fans. We heard what some of the fans chanted at the end of the game against Burnley. You're getting sacked in the morning. We want Thomas Frank out. You don't like that, but has Thomas's situation become untenable?
Well, again, you have to pay attention to what. I mean, I've got fans that are Spurs fans that say it's a small section of Spurs fans that do that, and most of them are trying to support the team. I mean, you wanted Spurs, if you're neutral and you quite like Thomas Frank, which I do, to go to Burnley and get a result so the noise quells down. It didn't. The Spurs were poor. You know, the hero of the piece is Romero because he scores the goal that equalises, but actually his defensive performance was nothing short of a scandal. And people will build that up as some sort of wonderful captains-like performance, but his defensive responsibilities, which is his primary function in life, were scandalous at times. It was that poor. It's difficult. I mean, when a fan base starts to turn, I don't think he's got allies in the building, as I've said repeatedly.
Because Levy and Paratici
yeah, I think that you can make a lot of that, but I'm not suggesting that he shouldn't stand on his own 2 feet and manage his team. But this Tottenham team is not very good, and it hasn't been very good for some time. And he can't just turn it around in 5 minutes. You know, people will talk about his team at Brentford. They were a far better side, Brentford, than Spurs are. And the legacy that he left Keith Andrews was a decent legacy that Keith Andrews inherited, and Matthew Benham had the wherewithal to know that Keith Andrews had the chops to continue the journey that Thomas Frank had been on. I personally think that Frank deserves to be given a bit of opportunity, but I'm not sure he's going to get it.
I mean, this is away support that are chanting they want him out. This is the hardcore, Emmanuel. The travel from London up to Burnley. Not that far, but still they went.
Yeah.
You wonder how long an ownership can ignore the fan sentiment.
No, you cannot. You know, it's very important, you know, what the fans feeling. It's very important, you know, and but as I said before, fans are always the victims of what's happening in football most of the time, and they are just there, you know, to witness what's happening. They have no power at all, you know. They can complain, they can make the noises, they can do what they want, they can say what they want, but at the end, their power is limited. And that's why I think what's happening to Spurs, it's a pity for the fans. But I said it 2 weeks ago here on here. I said it's weird what's happening with Spurs this season. Why? Because they are one of the best team away from home, and they are one of the worst team at home.
Yeah.
So
They've won 2 of the past 14 Premier League games.
It's like they're scared to play in front of their own fans all the time. So to answer your question, they have a huge power on players' mind all the time, but not on the board, which is different.
Right. I mean, victory, Simon, against Eintracht Frankfurt on Wednesday puts them straight through to the last 16 of the Champions League.
But the onus on a home side as opposed to an away side is different. Spurs look better when they've got less of the ball, ironically. And so at home, they're expected to have more of the ball. Now, the first 25 minutes against Dortmund, they were very good. And I think the fact that Dortmund got a player sent off sort of clouded how good Spurs were in the first 25 minutes, because it gave an excuse for Dortmund to lose this game. They were going to lose it anyway because Spurs were at them.
How long's he got, Thomas?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that
they're going to change a manager again.
He's been given an opportunity to find his way through. I think if they beat Frankfurt, they finish in the top 8 in the Champions League. You know, you have to ask questions of the fact how competitive the Champions League is, because the next thing is why are they not being able to replicate this form in the Premier League? Let's also be clear. Burnley are no mugs. They're not mugs. They went up to Anfield the other day. They got a point at Anfield. They are capable of making it difficult for you. And so while I'm not looking to give Tottenham excuses, it's not good enough from Thomas Frank at times. It's not what you would have anticipated. But this Spurs side, this idea that Spurs are a top 4 side in the minds of certain Tottenham fans, they are not. They've got to accept the fact that they're at the very best now. They're probably a mid-table side that's building towards something. You either allow them to build, or you bin a manager and bring another manager in and do the same thing to him if he doesn't give you exactly what you want in 5 minutes.
Okay, Emmanuel, I'm just conscious of the fact you go at 12. We're into the final half hour with Emmanuel Petit in just a second. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
We're told Michael Carrick's switch to 4 at the back has made all the difference for Man United.
It just shows that little bit of confidence in the back 4. Suddenly the midfield free up a little bit and the attacking flair go, oh, that's a nice balance.
talkSPORT's Alan Pardew there after Man United won at the Emirates, while Patrick Vieira has questioned the mentality of Mikel Arteta's side.
Because it's natural in the process of winning that you're going to lose a match, and it's how you react to that. And the first thing that you have to do is make sure that these guys know how good they are and how much we value what they are doing.
Arsenal go to Leeds on Saturday. Leeds versus Everton is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Andy Robertson will not go to Spurs before his contract expires in the summer. Liverpool lack alternatives at left-back. Now, we're told to expect Sir Gareth Southgate back in a job this summer.
He's a football person and a good person, and I think you know, for him not to be involved in football in any capacity would be a real tragedy. And we don't need someone like him, another good English coach, going out the game.
That's Andy Woodman, Bromley manager and Sir Gareth's best man, who says Southgate will turn up somewhere after 2 years out of the game. And in the Australian Open, defending champion Madison Keys lost to her friend and podcast co-host Jessica Pegula. Keys lost a bet over their last 16 match, so now has to eat apple pie with cheese on it. There's more on our website at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. GambleAware.org.
It is that time. We're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM. We're going to look at some of the top events and the odds round and about them. Mr. Gibson, good morning. You're in elite company with Mr. Jordan and World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit. Good morning to you. Let's look at the top half of the Premier League. What are you thinking?
Yeah, good morning, fellas. Just looking at the top three over the weekend, I think if you're a Man City fan and you were sort of concerned about their recent form, the game that you want is probably Wolves at home, and they were quite comfortable. Pep rotated, Haaland and Foden rests, and Gay was pretty solid. Semenyo on target again. So City back to winning ways after a kind of tricky period, and weren't really good at St James's Park yesterday. I mean, Buendia has a habit of scoring. I think he only scores great goals, doesn't he? Emery's side, incredible away from home, won more points on the road than any other Premier League side this season. Lads, I gave the price, and I think the 15th of December was a Monday. Villa was 6-4 for the top four. Then they are now super short at 11-50 for the top four. So just how well are they going? And then what a game yesterday for the neutral, definitely. I think if you're Michael Carrick and you were offered maximum points from City and Arsenal, you'd be sort of dream world, wouldn't you? Before a ball was kicked under his reign there. I know it was two kind of worldies, wasn't it, from Dorgu and Cunha that secured the points, but they've not lost the game in six, and they're shortening for the top four, 6-4 for the top four, as we sit here now. So I think, gents, a lot's been said about this Premier League season with regards to the quality, and there's no great sides and there's a big middle, but for me the title race is well alive. The race for the top four is well alive, and as we'll talk about in a minute, the relegation is all up for playing. So in terms of competitiveness, lads, I think this is a really great Premier League season.
Well, let's look at that particular area. And Emmanuel, wins for Chelsea and Manchester United see them both leapfrog Liverpool in the table. So let's dwell on Liverpool. The loss at Bournemouth was their first defeat in 11 league games. They'd failed to win in any of their last 5 Premier League games, taking just 4 points in the last 5. And when I said to you a moment ago, we're going to talk Liverpool, you threw in Virgil's name, Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
Now, where are you going with this?
Mo Salah as well. I think I have a huge respect for both of them. Great players so far that will remain into the Premier League history, but as well in football, for what they've done and what they've won. I still have a huge respect, but I watched the game in midweek against Marseille in France, and Van Dijk was leading, the defense. He was acting as a captain, as a leader as well on the team. He was communicating all the time with his teammates, in a right way, and he was controlling everything. Against Bournemouth, the first goal, I think he looked so soft, so far away from Van Dijk. He was this guy. You cannot beat him. 1-against-1. It was impossible to pass him. And I've seen so many times he was so soft, but I've seen that so many times from the start of the season. So, and the communication as well with his teammates was not good at all. So, how can you explain that this guy he was a rock, in the defense, one of the best players, probably the best defender so far for years. All of a sudden, because he's wearing the hairband, he's not there anymore. It's like, for me, I have the feeling he's shooting his game, and
choosing his game.
Yeah, because what I've seen, against Bournemouth was not good enough. He was not Van Dijk, the rock. I know, and he can bring that, on the pitch. And he did it, 3 days before that against Marseille. He gave nothing, to the strikers against Marseille. And all of a sudden, 3 days later, he was so soft, tactically as well. But, in terms of the body language, he was... Look at the first goal, for example. It was too easy, to concede the first goal. So... I can't explain that. Why he's so good sometimes, all of a sudden he's not there anymore for 2 or 3 games, and all of a sudden he's coming back, on the right level. It's been not the only one. There's so many. Hopefully for Liverpool, Szoboszlai is there, because this guy has been amazing from the start of the season.
Yeah. I mean, they're 6. Are they going to be top 4? Did they finish top 4, Liverpool?
When you look at the other teams, quite the same. Inconsistency. Chelsea has been like this, I think they have a very good players, and I can't explain why sometimes they won against Crystal Palace, away from home. I have no guarantee that the next game at home they're gonna share points or lose games, And then this is something I can predict. It's the same with City. People are saying that City are only 4 points behind Arsenal. Yeah, I can see that on the table. But City has lost so many points, recently. They draw so many games. They lost. Look at the City against Bodo Glimt, during the midweek. They were so poor. They lost 3-1 away from home in Champions League. And then all of a sudden they won 2-0 and everything is okay now. No. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not, you cannot predict what's happening actually in the Premier League, because inconsistency.
You don't know what you're getting.
Yes.
Matt, let's leap into the bottom half of the Premier League table. What are you thinking?
Yeah, just a point to follow up on Manu's bit there. Liverpool are even money to make the top 4, which reigning Premier League champions, getting evens for them to finish sort of in the metaphorical podium, I think's a right price. But down the other end, always with my white, yellow, and blue spectacles on, gents. We're looking at the results with West Ham were superb against Sunderland, right? And Brentford, I thought Brentford at home would be too much for Forest, and how wrong I was. And then Burnley targeting Spurs. Spurs are a wee bit rocky. But when I saw them go up, I thought, well, actually, they might be able to hold on and get past Burnley here. And as it was Spurs who had to rely on a brilliant Christian Romero header for an equaliser. But it's super tight at the bottom, lads. Even, I know we always joke about it and we say how odds on Wolves are. Wolves were 1 to 100 to get relegated. They're now 1 to 50 because of their sort of recent upturn in form. Burnley were 1 to 50, now 1 to 25. West Ham have drifted slightly, 3 to 10 into 1 to 2. I think they've won 3 games in a row in all comps, which is the first time that's happened since November 2023. And then Leeds and Forest are both 6 to 1. We had Stuart Pearce last week, didn't we, saying it's Forest or West Ham. Stuart, which one do you think it is? And I honestly don't think it's got to be that. It's got to be that straightforward. I think much like the title and the top 4, this is going to go down to the wire. And a big day in the title race is City versus Arsenal, April 18th. The last game of the season is West Ham Leeds, gents. So it might very well go all the way.
Emmanuel, Matt Gibson is a Leeds United fan. And with that in mind, not specifically with that in mind, but let's look, in view of what you've been saying about the relegation battle, let's look at it tonight. Everton Leeds, a talkSPORT exclusive. What are you thinking on that one? I know what your heart says.
Well, as a purely on the fence, unbiased bookmaker, Jim.
Correct.
Everton 6 to 4. The draw at 43 to 20. Leeds outsiders at 21 to 10. This was a Monday night football game in the first game week. We actually got past them 1-0 from let's say a controversial penalty that was buried by Lucas Mecha. But listen, I think it'll be relatively tight. There's plenty in it for both games. Everton are currently 11th. They've got a chance to go at 35 points, 1 point behind Liverpool. And as discussed with those three results in and around the relegation battle for Leeds, it's a huge one, fellas. Like I think we're level on point. We're level on points with Forest. We can go level on points with Simon's Crystal Palace if we win tonight. So there's plenty on it for both teams. I think it'll be a relatively tight affair, but I can't come on air and not back Leeds to go and get it done at just over 2. So that'll be where my money is.
Okay, Matt, thank you very much indeed. You're making notes. I mean, it's like advanced algebra. What is going on here?
Oh, I'm looking at something. I'm looking at Strasbourg's spend over the last 5 or 6 years for a reason in my own head.
Strasbourg's spend, why not? We'll maybe get to that. Matt Gibson, thank you very much indeed. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app, 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Now, the latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is now available. You're listening, Emmanuel. Comedians Matt Ford and Alex Brooker speak to French World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit, who reveals that he had a premonition before the tournament that the French could win the final at home against Brazil.
Some time ago, I said France would organize the World Cup in 1998, and then France will win the World Cup 2-0 against Brazil in final. When I said that, 10 years before that, in the press, people were looking at me, this guy is crazy.
So what, you'd said that?
Yeah.
You saw it coming?
We call that a premonition, right?
But you had a genuine premonition of it?
Yeah.
How, what, vivid?
Yeah.
Clear in your mind?
Even now, when I try to explain it, people think, what is he saying? This is the truth, this is reality, and there is a proof, in the newspapers, long time ago, before France was designed to organize the World Cup. So this is the proof that it was not meant after the organization, it was before that.
Okay, any premonitions
it's weird.
Today?
I know it's weird, especially nowadays that people believe what they see. Things that we cannot see, we cannot explain it. So I know that because when I was young, I said that in the press when I started, as a professional footballer with Monaco, and I was always, treated as with a kind of weird way, with the medias, because people were thinking this guy is not the same. You put it aside because he's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care, to be honest with you. I know who I am, and I'm not trying to force people to think differently. But what I said is the truth. And I don't know if it happens to you, premonitions, but it happens to me a couple of times about things, in my private life. And to be honest with you, during the final against Brazil, we were leading the score 2-0, and I had to drop back, as a central defender because Marcel was sent off during that game, and I was marking Ronaldo. And I remember because we still have a couple of minutes to play, and the noises was unbelievable, in the Stade de France in Paris. We couldn't hear each other, on the pitch. The communication was very bad. But I screamed to Frank Leboeuf, my teammate, and so as a central defender, and I said to him, Frank, he looked at me, he said, what? My dream is coming through. We are going to win the World Cup 2-0. And he did, I don't understand what he's saying. So I repeat myself, and he said to me, shut up, man, we still have a game to play, we are not far, for the end, you concentrate. So can you imagine that afterwards we conceded the corner, and the counter-attack, the transition afterwards was so quick, so fast. Something in my mind, I don't know why. I was playing central defense. I could stay, in defense, protect the defense. Okay, in 2 minutes, the game is over. We won the World Cup. That's it. But then something, tells me in my mind, you have to follow it. Because Patrick took the ball after Dugarry gave him. I thought to me, this is it. Arsenal, a couple of weeks before that, we won the double, and I said, let's go with Patrick. And he gave me the ball and the score. And then there is this picture, in the Arsenal media's room, on the wall. And I'm very proud about that, underneath Margaret Thatcher, on the front page, I'm really proud about that. And I'm very proud that Patrick and I, we've done that, for the national team. And back to the premonition, I don't know if people are listening to that. Maybe some people will recognize themselves, what I'm saying.
You had any premonitions? You always hoped you'd work with me.
If I had, I would have never walked into the news building.
I love it. I want to get back to the World Cup in a second, but you can check out How to Win the World Cup. That podcast is now available on YouTube and via your favourite podcast provider. New episodes are available every week between now and this summer's tournament. Have you got any other premonitions? I mean, ahead of the USA?
Not really, No.
Do you hope? Obviously, you hope the French will win it.
Of course.
Will that feeling get stronger the closer you get to the tournament?
I want France to win. Why? Because what's happening in my country, I don't like it at all. And negativity as well, the stress. People are living under so much pressure. And I think football can reunite people. And I know we don't have the power of politics. We cannot change people's lives. we can only inspire, we can only reunite people, and this is why I love football. And this is something I said as well about the English team. I think the passion is so high, about football, but I think the unity behind the national team is not quite well. That's why I think sometimes clubs are more important than the national team, and this is why I think you are struggling, to win something big. You need to have this unity all behind the national team, and it starts from the fans. And surprisingly, this is what I've said about Arsenal fans. So this is something that is missing, I love English football. I love the Premier League. This is for me the best championship in the world. You have such a huge and beautiful players, playing for the national team. But I think there is so many pressure, between the players, and that reminds me the lack of Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, John Terry, Michael Owen, such a great players all together, never won anything at all. So unity for me is something that is missing sometimes in national team.
What chance do you give England of winning it?
Well, for England, a very good chance. I think they are among the favorites, to win the title. But it depends on them. As I said about Arsenal with the Premier League, the worst enemy for England is England.
Yeah. You haven't had a premonition about Scotland, have you?
I mean, no. Look what happened, last time England played.
Notice that, folks. Didn't even answer it.
No, but look what happened against when England played against France. They lost 2-1. Remember the last time? England was the best team on the pitch, and you lost because we show much more maturity and unity as well on the pitch.
Before you go today, should we be worried about this over the weekend? You and I have touched on this before, Simon. The German Federation Vice President, Oke Gottlich, has said the time has definitely come to consider a boycott. You know where I'm going with this, Emmanuel. Amidst the situation around Greenland, Trump's immigration policy, the topic of a World Cup boycott has been raised somewhat lightly, but still raised in some areas of Europe. He says, by my reckoning, the potential threat is greater now. We need to have this discussion. Do you fear it, Emmanuel, that this will gather momentum?
It will never happen. I mean, you're thinking about the boycott of the World Cup. It will never happen. Why? Because the players, they don't want it. Because the federation, they don't want it. Nobody wants it. So I understand why politicians sometimes, say things like this. But there is a new sheriff in the town, and the name of it is Donald Trump. If can you imagine the FIFA, under pressure because some federation are saying we're not sending our national team over there. Soon as they do that, I think they will receive a phone call, saying that I will put 25% more taxes on everything you're selling. I mean, that it won't happen at all. It's impossible. We're not living in a dreamland. It's impossible. So I don't believe in that. I'm not buying that.
You were saying to me before the show, I think you said to me, if there was ever going to be a boycott, it would have happened around Qatar.
Of course. I mean, for human rights, for things like this, if federation would have show unity, and boycott the World Cup, that would have been, the case during the World Cup in Qatar. So why all of a sudden it's happening, for the World Cups coming to America? And on top of it, it's 3 countries. It's not only America. So there is Canada and Mexico. So are you going to boycott as well Mexico and Canada? So just be honest and just stop saying, stupid things, in the press because you don't believe in it. You know that you don't have the power. Look at the European countries actually. They are under, the power of Donald Trump. So it doesn't mean anything to say things like this.
And just to be clear, no premonition about Scotland.
Come on.
Great to have you with us. Emmanuel Petit is in the building, and we've enjoyed your company for the last 2 hours.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you again. Monsieur Petit has many things to do here in London before he heads back to Paris. You'll just need to make do with Mr. White, Mr. Jordan from this point onwards. It's 12 noon.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Is this an Arsenal wobble or not? Defeat at home to Man United cuts the lead to 4, but Emmanuel Petit is reminding everyone the Gunners still have more points from their last 5 games than either Villa or City.
This is not the same Arsenal that used to be, 2 seasons ago. They changed. They are not the same. They're leading the Champions League spot. They're leading the Premier League. They are the best team at home, the second best team away from home. So come on, guys.
David Seaman, though, admits the home defeat to Man United does add a bit of pressure.
Because of the history of the last 3 seasons as well. Like you said, we've only taken 2 points from 3 from the last 3 games.
Arsenal are away to Leeds on Saturday. Leeds are in action tonight. They go to Everton live on talkSPORT from 7 p.m. Meanwhile, Hill Dickinson's been given its first senior men's international. Scotland will play Ivory Coast in a friendly there on March 31st. What news of the Scotland captain's potential move to Spurs? Alex Crook.
Robertson is a big voice in the dressing room, one of the leaders alongside the likes of Virgil van Dijk. So I'm not surprised that at the moment Liverpool have pulled the plug on this one.
Liverpool say they lack alternatives at left-back, so Robertson's likely to see out his contract till the summer. And organisers at the Australian Open Tennis have moved things around again in extreme heat. Temperatures in Melbourne could reach 46 degrees tomorrow. Meanwhile, Sinner and Swiatek are into the quarters. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Some Labour MPs say blocking Manchester's mayor from standing to be an MP is a stitch-up, and there's a warning government plans to create one national police service is a huge risk. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Largely cloudy today, wet in the northeast, rain and wind moving into western areas. Ahead of tomorrow, Storm Chandra will bring heavy rain and snow across the country.
Good afternoon, everybody. 4 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Monsieur Emmanuel Petit has departed the building, and we're thanking him for a quite phenomenal 2 hours of live radio. Thanks so much to him. In the final hour today, we'll cast our net far and wide. We'll look at north of the border, what's going on up there. Hearts on 51 points, Rangers on 47, Martin O'Neill Celtic on 45. I was at Brentford to see Nottingham Forest win all 3 points by beating Brentford by 2-0. Going to hear from club legend John McGovern on Nottingham Forest chances of getting out of trouble and what they may or may not do from this point onwards in Europe. But in the meantime, it's time for this.
Transfer window update on talkSPORT with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment with Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
That's right. Simon and I are joined at this point by talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook. Mr. Crook, good afternoon to you, mate. Let's start with Leicester City, who have parted company with manager Marti Cifuentes. What else do we know on this one?
Good afternoon. Well, first and foremost, this time next week, it's going to be transfer deadline day, isn't it? And no doubt
lovely.
Simon will be bouncing around the studio in anticipation at that. But yeah,
will you be bouncing? Do you bounce on that day?
Do I bounce on
Yes.
the day of transfer? I try to bounce out the door as quick as possible.
There you go. You knew that was coming, Alex.
Well, someone who has bounced out the door at Leicester is Marti Cifuentes, as you mentioned. I think we all probably saw this coming after Leicester were beaten at home by Oxford at the weekend. They are languishing a long way off the playoff places, which I think was the hierarchy's ambition at the start of the season. Not necessarily sure that Leicester's squad is befitting of a promotion challenge. And it does beg the question, who would want this job next? Because there's still a threat of a points deduction hanging over Leicester City. I'm told the dressing room is not the best place to be right now. There are a lot of players who have had that taste of Premier League football, maybe feel they should still be playing in the Premier League. Perhaps there's a doubt over some of those senior players' attitudes and application as well. So I think Marti Cifuentes was fighting a losing battle. The latest information I have is that Leicester want an experienced manager to come in. They've hired Andy King, a club legend, a former Premier League title winner with Leicester as a player, no less. He'll take interim charge. One or two names that have been mentioned in the last 24 hours. Lee Carsley, current England under-21 manager. Tony Mowbray, who obviously has got a lot of experience at that level. And you've got the Cardiff manager, Brian Barry Murphy, as well as your former Leicester City coach. But I'm not sure that given their current financial situation, they can necessarily, Leicester, afford to pay compensation for an in-work manager.
It's unusual, Simon. Such was Cifuentes' desire to take over at Leicester. He personally paid part of his own compensation package, and that was in excess of £400,000. Now it's gone pear-shaped, now he's out the door. I mean, this is what can happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're only 6 points off the playoffs.
I mean, I think QPR fans were a little disenfranchised or disillusioned with his outlook towards getting out of QPR or departing from Queen's Park Rangers, if my recollection shows me correctly. No, it's not an easy job at Leicester. They've got their comeuppance a little bit, haven't they? They've been clever and tap danced their way around all the consequences of their own behaviour over the last 2 or 3 years. Used the lawyer Nick DeMarco to find themselves in a Bermuda Triangle of consequences in terms of never being consequenced in the EFL or the Premier League. It's caught up with them now. And it's a sad scenario because at one point they were the poster boys for so many good things in football. Obviously, the tragedy of losing their owner and his son taking over, they've never seemed to have the same momentum. They obviously won the FA Cup. I think Brendan Rodgers left them in a state, as he often does. And all that's now being brought to home. And now they're languishing in the Championship. They're languishing in the middle to the bottom of the Championship with no seemingly positive upward movement to get them back into the Premier League.
As I say, 6 points off the playoffs.
Sure, but I mean, a team that's in decline. It's not in. They're not in ascendancy. They haven't fired their manager because they're going well, are they?
No, this is true. Andy Robertson staying with Liverpool or going to Tottenham?
Well, I think as we sit here now with a week of the window left, he's more likely to stay than go. This really started to gather momentum after we came off air, actually, on Friday afternoon. Robertson out of contract at Liverpool at the end of the season. Talks have already taken place with Tottenham about joining them in the summer as a free agent. Tottenham trying to accelerate that move because obviously they need all the help they can get given their precarious Premier League position. And I think there was a willingness at one point to get this deal done. Liverpool lose at Bournemouth. Milos Kerkez doesn't have the best game in the world against his old club. And I think ultimately at the moment, Liverpool have decided they can't afford to let one of their most senior players go. Robertson, for his part, was not openly agitating for the move. I think he would have done it had the two clubs been able to agree a transfer that would have been worth around about £5 million to include add-ons to Liverpool. But ultimately, they think it'll be more benefit to stay in the building. They're still trying to get in the top 4 or 5 in the Premier League. They're still in a really good position in the Champions League, so plenty to play for. I could understand why Tottenham are going after a player like Robertson because I think they do lack a bit of character and a bit of experience in that dressing room. But at the moment, it just won't happen. One of the reasons is because they tried to recall Tsimikas, Liverpool, from his loan at Roma, but I don't think Roma were particularly keen to do that. So they are a little bit light at the back.
I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, Simon. From a Scottish viewpoint, we need Andy Robertson to play because it's a World Cup year. We want to get some game time before we and he head off to the US of A. But I mean, it's interesting that another Premier League club has said, well, if you don't want to play in Liverpool, we do, and that club is Tottenham. But it does look as if he'll
Is he out of contract at the end of the season, Alex?
He is, yeah.
So again, it's another opportunity for him at the end of the season to perhaps make more money out of a transaction than by going to Tottenham. Whatever the $5 million costs Tottenham is less than he'll get in his salary. I don't know whether Andy Robertson would be of use to Tottenham. I mean, obviously they must think he will be, otherwise they wouldn't be inquiring about him. I think they've got other fish to fry that are more important than a left back. But I'm surprised he's not in the Liverpool side because, I mean, Kirk has played all right against Marseille, but he was dreadful against Bournemouth. On the weekend.
As Alex was saying, not the best game. Lucas Paquetá, where are we at with him?
I think this one's going to happen now, Jim. Flamengo, we've been reporting on their interests for a good week or so now. I know that originally Nuno Espirito Santo was digging his heels in and telling the hierarchy there that they needed Paquetá to stay at least until the Brazilian window closes in the first week of March. But there does seem to be confidence now coming out of South America that this one will be done. They've made a new offer, Flamengo, of around about 41 million euros. There was a suggestion they could even buy Paquetá and then loan him back. I'm told that's unlikely now. I think this will be a straight sale. And a lot of West Ham fans don't seem too upset to see him go. I don't think he's been brilliant for the last 18 months or so, and obviously has been out of action with a rather suspect back injury, shall we say, since this interest from Flamengo came to light.
I think it will be looked back, Simon, as something of an unfulfilled spell in the Premier League.
Well, it'll look back on that his career was interrupted by awful allegations that he was completely exonerated from, and then subsequently sued for all the commissions and opportunities that he should have subsequently got for these terrible allegations that had no substance.
There you go. Oscar Bob, is he moving closer to Fulham, Alex?
I think this one is still up in the air at the moment. We know that Fulham have been in talks with Manchester City about a potential £35 million move to Craven Cottage. The feeling I get as we head into the last week of the window is that Oscar Bob is just waiting to see what other opportunities might come his way. I spoke to Marco Silva actually after Fulham's last gasp win over Brighton at the weekend. He was confident of getting some deals done between now and the window closing next week. I did push him on his own future actually, because he was saying how much he wanted Harry Wilson, the late match winner, to sign a new contract. So I said, hold on, Marco, what about yourself? You're out of contract in the summer as well. If you're urging Harry Wilson to sign on the dotted line, are you any closer to agreeing to stay? And he said, no, I know the club want to keep me, but let's see what happens. So not much of a commitment there from the Fulham manager.
How often do we hear this?
Well, I mean, surely what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting one. If I'm Oscar Bob, I would be looking around because Fulham's a nice club. It's a nice club. He's playing at Manchester City currently, or not as regularly as he'd like to, but it's a real departure to go to Fulham from Manchester City. So I'm not surprised he's not jumping at the opportunity.
Yeah.
Would he be a good signing for Fulham? I mean, they're doing well. I mean, what I saw at Fulham at the beginning of December was I thought they were lightweight. Palace beat them 2-1. A Palace side that's now gone on a run of form, which is, you know, disastrous at this moment in time. But Palace were by far the better side. Fulham looked nice on the eye. The best player on the field was Harry Wilson, who scored another great goal. But Oscar Bob going to Fulham, I'm not surprised he's not jumping in a taxi and heading down.
And heading off there. What about Bournemouth finally? Winners at the weekend, of course, over Liverpool. Are they beginning to spend some of the Semenyo money?
Yeah, do you know what? I think quietly, Jim, they've actually had a decent window. They've got a medical going on today for the 19-year-old Brazilian Ryan. He's seen as the long-term replacement for Antoine Semenyo, and he turned down big offers from Saudi Arabia and from Europe to make this move. They've signed Alex Toth as well, a midfielder from Robbie Keane's Ferencváros. He came on and got a bit of a taste of it against Liverpool at the weekend in that amazing win for Bournemouth. And now a new goalkeeper arriving as well, Christos Mandas, a Greek international. It's a £1.3 million loan deal initially, with a £16 million buy option at the end of the season. That will be triggered if he plays a certain percentage of games. I think it's around 50% between now and the end of the season. And they have had doubts about Petrovic, who they signed in the summer. So I think Mandas is coming in to challenge him to be the new number one.
Okay, Alex, terrific. What sort of final day do you think we'll have?
I think something dramatic's going to happen, Jim. I've just got a feeling it's been a relatively quiet window so far. You take Manchester City and the couple of signings they've made out of the equation. Somebody is going to take us by surprise on transfer deadline day. And you know what? It just might be Manchester United giving Michael Carrick a bit of a gift on deadline day.
There you go. There you go. We can reveal exclusively something is going to be done by somebody. Alex, thank you very much indeed. That was all thanks to Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks and you will find out more.
Transfer window update on talkSPORT with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment with Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live this Monday lunchtime on talkSPORT. Also live, of course, you don't need me to tell you. You can find us anywhere you look, really. As far as a TV show is concerned, we're even live on Prime Video. So wherever you want to watch a show on YouTube, whatever, you can watch us live between 10 and 1. I watched live Brentford take on Nottingham Forest yesterday over at Brentford. It was a great gathering of two great sets of supporters, and there was only one winner, and it wasn't Brentford. The home side lost by 2-0. Nottingham Forest looked really, really good, and they came out on top. But where's it going to take them? Because West Ham won as well, and Forest have got a job in their hands to break free of that danger zone. Post-match, I caught up with a great legend of the game, a legend of Nottingham Forest, John McGovern, and he reflected briefly on that win.
Well, I think we controlled the match at times for the away team, played with that little bit of confidence and scored 2 good goals. So it's a total team contribution, and the side can be really pleased with the 90 minutes work they've put in today.
Does it make you feel extra good, John, in that they won, Forest, but they had to really, with West Ham winning yesterday?
Well, yeah, I mean, the position is that we're nearer the bottom than the top of the league, so we need to get results, and the quicker you get them, the better it is. But it's the way the team performed today that was quite pleasing, because we kept the ball well at times, but we defended to a man. And away from home, you always come under a lot of pressure from the home side, and that defending as a man certainly paid off.
Is Europe taking its toll, John? It didn't look it.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, each game's different, and you're not quite sure, how games are going to either start off or end up. You're away from home, you're going to come under a bit of pressure, but as I said, we played as a unit today. There was nobody missing, everybody's contributing, and if that's the case and you've got the ability that we've got, you are going to get results.
Does this give you hope that Nottingham Forest will get out of trouble and will be clear of the danger zone come the important time at the end of the season?
Well, obviously, I mean, we've struggled to score goals at times, even though we've had more of the play than the opposition, but this is one of those days where we know we did control the game at times, looked very good defensively, and then the 2 goals were absolutely superb goals.
What about the transfer market? The clock's ticking. You know that phrase, Mr. McGovern.
Well, you're hoping that the club will bring in somebody that will be better than they've got, and that's an absolute necessity. We have been short of strikers, but let's just hope we sign someone and they're the right one and they blend with everybody else.
Sam, it's interesting, the Nottingham Forest journey. Last season, Forest were in a deep race for Champions League football, but then a messy season ensued. Nuno sacking, it's seen them in a relegation race. Now you bear in mind 3 years ago, Marinakis wrote in an open letter to Forest fans, "Our vision for the club is clear and unwavering. We're on a path to re-establish Forest as a dominant force in English football." What are Nottingham Forest to you? Where are they going?
Well, I mean, last year they did remarkably well, and obviously Marinakis was looking very good for the claims that he made 2 or 3 years earlier, and he brought in Ange Postecoglou to help him achieve that. So perhaps when a European competition felt they had a chance to do it. Obviously they got in there on the back of Crystal Palace's demise, and it hasn't played out that way. It's turned into a messy set of affairs where you've got a sort of season that they've stepped back, they've gone 1 step forward and 2 step back.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't heard a lot from Marinakis recently. I mean, normally he's quite in the forefront of things. He's brought in
there yesterday. I thought he might be.
He's brought in Sean Dyche. That probably in his mind's eye wouldn't have been the appointment that you would envisaged that Nottingham Forest would have been moving towards as they were looking to aspire to greater things, because Sean's in there to fix problems. But fixing problems is what they've got. So I don't think it decries or detracts from the other desires that he has. He has the same challenges as everybody else has, which is anybody that doesn't have the pre-established turnover that the legacy football clubs have got is going to find it difficult to comply with PSR and then to push forward to try and achieve the things that the owners have the financial means to potentially deliver.
Yeah.
But the governance of the game doesn't allow them to. I mean, Nottingham Forest, have snatched defeat from the jaws of victory this season. This was meant to be a season where they kicked on. I thought last year they were operating at such a level that it was unsustainable. You weren't going to get another season out of Chris Wood, irrespective of whether he was injured or not, the way he played last year. The performance of the side, they were operating at the highest levels, game in, game in, game in, game in.
Yeah.
And it was difficult to see how they'd sustain that. Now, of course, going to the central theme of the question, which is where do they sit in English football? Well, they sit amongst the myths of English football, not so much the myths, but the history and legacy and iconography of English football, because the team that Brian Clough produced in the late 70s that came out of the Championship, won the first division, or the League One or Division 2 as it was then, won Division 1 instantaneously, then went on to win the European Cup 2 years in a row, as well as winning the League Cups and giving the established order all kinds of mayhem and headaches. and they're back in the Premier League. Do I think they get relegated this year? No, I don't think they will.
You don't think they will?
I think they'll stay up. I think there's enough quality. The difficulty for them is that, you know, certain players have been injured for them that haven't performed at the level they would have anticipated. They've been fortunate they managed to acquire Elliot Anderson, who's a very good player from Newcastle, who were forced to sell him, which is something that Eddie Howe spoke of in other interviews, which he really resented the idea that they sell a very talented academy player because it created a financial outcome that gave them headroom to do other things. But, you know, Forest are a side that I think will stay in the Premier League this year, but I don't think they're going to set anything alight.
It'll be interesting if
in Europe,
if it's Nuno now at West Ham who ultimately sends Forest down. But we'll see a fair amount of
quite like to,
twists and turns to go. Yeah, it would be quite an irony, wouldn't it? We saw Newcastle lose at home to Aston Villa. It was called the PSR Derby. And of course, the questions being asked these days by many is football won on the pitch or on the spreadsheet. Going into this game, Eddie Howe seemed to be at pains to want to challenge the perception that PSR might stop Newcastle breaking the elite.
The money leagues, that I was interested to see them yesterday, and I thought they made interesting reading for us because it shows we've got a long way to go in terms of revenue, and I know people are bored of us discussing it and talking about it, but it's factual, and building our revenues will be so important, and I know there's a lot of work behind the scenes to try and do that. I've always had the belief that you've got to try and, whatever situation you have, you've got to try and outperform your resources. You've got to try and overachieve. You've got to stretch every ounce of effort and energy out of the squad that you have. So we believe that we can still achieve great things regardless of what financial restrictions there are on us, and we will try to achieve the highest possible that we can. So I'm reluctant to say whatever that will be, but we will go for the maximum.
I think Eddie's got to say that, Simon, hasn't he?
That really kind of means nothing, doesn't it? Because you can't be saying that we're going to achieve great things and then you're reluctant to tell anyone what they are. Because that to me is a little bit Eddie tap dancing around the reality of the circumstances he finds himself in, which is he's important to be committed. They're not paupers.
No.
And you know, but the people they're competing against are Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, and whoever else we want to put in that list that's got £500-600 million turnovers. Newcastle's turnover, I would wager you, is something like 300 million.
Have they got headroom to do some business?
Well, they probably got headroom to do business. But the fact is that if you've got a wage bill, I mean, the analysis of, in the end of the day, if you don't buy well, you don't buy well. But assuming that good clubs more often than not buy well, in order for Newcastle to emulate the clubs that we're talking about, they need to be able to match them with either expertise off the field or a combination of expertise off the field and the ability to be able to match them pound for pound. Newcastle cannot spend £250 million every transfer window. The other clubs seem to be able to. And the way they're going to create something is either a long plan that's going to take 10 years to get them close to the kind of opportunities that may be already existing for the other clubs, and that's assuming those clubs stand still. So if they keep on moving forward, Newcastle's run rate for the next 10 years will still be markedly behind the achievements financially of other football clubs, which you don't win football matches in finance terms, but you do in the longer game because you can buy the better players. What they've got to perhaps do, Newcastle, is build a new stadium and give themselves opportunities there to start creating commercial revenue streams. But for Eddie to put forward a positive proposal about we have to do the very best we can is a bit like stating the bleeding obvious, isn't it? Because what was the alternative? Do the very worst you can.
Well, true. Newcastle are 17th in the money league. Aston Villa, curiously, 14th in the money league.
As revenues?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, is it 300 million their turnover, something of that nature, I suspect?
No, you're spot on. 398 million euros.
300.
You're virtually spot on with it.
340 million pounds.
Villa's 450 million euros. Euros, Simon. Yeah. We're talking Emmanuel Petit currency this lunchtime. It is 12:30 this Monday lunchtime. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
told Michael Carrick's switch to 4 at the back has made all the difference for Man United.
It just shows that little bit of confidence in the back four. Suddenly the midfield free up a little bit and the attacking flair go, oh, that's a nice balance.
talkSPORT's Alan Pardew there after Man United won at the Emirates, while Patrick Vieira has questioned the mentality of Mikel Arteta's side.
Because it's natural in the process of winning that you're going to lose a match, and it's how you react to that. And the first thing that you have to do is make sure that these guys know how good they are and how much we value what they are doing.
Arsenal go to Leeds on Saturday. Leeds versus Everton is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Andy Robertson will not go to Spurs before his contract expires in the summer. Liverpool lack alternatives at left-back. Now, we're told to expect Sir Gareth Southgate back in a job this summer.
He's a football person and a good person, and I think, you know, for him not to be involved in football in any capacity would be a real tragedy. And we don't need someone like him, another good English coach, going out the game.
That's Andy Woodman, Bromley manager and Sir Gareth's best man, who says Southgate will turn up somewhere after 2 years out of the game. And in the Australian Open, defending champion Madison Keys lost to her friend and podcast co-host Jessica Pegula. Keys lost a bet over their last 16 match, so now has to eat apple pie with cheese on it. There's more on our website at talksport.com.
Trip to South Africa with the Barmy Army on talkSPORT.
Well, England returns to South Africa next winter, and as always, the Barmy Army will be out there in full force. You could be with them alongside them. We're giving away a week for two at the 2027 New Year's Test in Cape Town. Every day of the match at one of the world's great cricket grounds with flights, hotel and spending money all covered. It's your chance to secure 2 spots with the official Barmy Army, so you'll be right in the mix with the rest of the fans. Listen up, here's how you can do it. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. The number to call is 0343 418 7260. The lines close the 6th of February 2026 at 4 o'clock. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only, and network promotion. Terms and conditions at talksport.com. Your chance to win, text WIN, W-I-N, to 83338 now. OK, let's get to events in Scotland. An eventful Sunday. Of that, there is no doubt. Hearts took on Celtic at Tynecastle in Edinburgh and drew 2-2. Rangers, meantime, beat Dundee by 3-0. And it all adds up this Monday lunchtime to this. Hearts in top spot, 51 points. Rangers on 47 points. Celtic on 45. In a moment, we'll be joined by Scottish football writer Bill Leckie. But this is how Derek McInnes of Hearts and Martin O'Neill of Celtic
at least we
were
put ourselves in a position to win it, and we're disappointed we haven't. But a point in how the game played out, coming from behind twice against a team of Celtic's quality, regardless of their exploits on Thursday night, I still think in the cold light of day it's not the worst point when you come from behind, but we just felt it was a wee bit more out there for us.
They had maybe the opportunity with us down to 10 men, having played on Thursday night. It might have been that chance. But in the overall take of the game, was a draw probably is a fair result.
How do you think it leaves the title race in general?
Well, we had at 1 minute to 3, we had a tough time, and we still have a tough time. It's another game gone past, but we're still in it.
Let's have a chat with Bill, north of the border. Bill Leckie joins us. Bill, what's your take on it all? Is it a better point for McInnes, O'Neill or Danny Rowe? Where's your head with it?
Oh, Danny Rowe, without a doubt. The Rangers are the winners out of this. They've ground out another victory yesterday. They've got a little bit closer to Hearts, a little bit further away from Celtic, and they are just moving along unspectacularly. And if you ask me to put my last fiver on it right now, I'd say they're not a bad bet to somehow come through and win this league. But there's a long, long way to go, Jim.
I was just going to ask you that, Bill. Is there a world now where they could be considered title favourites, Rangers?
Yes, I would say there's an argument for any of the three of them. I'd say Celtic at the moment probably the least of the three, but there's still a long way for a lot of games for them to come back. But Danny Rowe's just getting something out of his squad. There's no superstars in the team. They haven't pulled up any trees, but they just keep winning. Hearts go there in a few weeks to Ibrox. I've said already, I thought if Hearts could avoid losing to Celtic at home and avoid losing to Rangers at Ibrox, they'd be my favourites still. That's going to be a massive game on the 15th of February.
Simon, what about our old chum Martin O'Neill? Is the title going to be one step too far for Martin, do you think? Is that the only way, Simon, that O'Neill could secure the job, should he want it, in the long term?
Depends if he wants it, doesn't he? I mean, ultimately, he's been brought back in there to steady the ship because they took an experiment which most of us scratched our heads at and then watched someone turn the lights off that Martin O'Neill turned on. And then Martin O'Neill's come back in the room and turned them back on again. Now, I mean, obviously, a lot wasn't made about Hearts and the fact that they had some of their best players out. They've still managed to get a result, and I'm pleased for them because, with all due respect to the old firm, I'd like to see them shaken up a little bit. I'd like to see Hearts go in there and win the league. I think it would be a good thing for Scottish football. I think it might liven the old firm up a little bit. But I'm also impressed with Danny Rowe. I mean, he's a good manager. All the background noise has now receded because I don't think there was a set of welcoming arms for him. I think there was a reluctance from the Rangers fans to think this was a solution to their problems created by a board that put Russell Martin in that didn't seem to know what they were doing, albeit they were a board that was very familiar with football given their ownership of Leeds. And I think they made a bad first impression, but I think they're now recovering ground. I mean, I fear for Hearts that they're going to get reeled in. When I saw I was watching out for the result on the weekend, and when I saw Celtic go 2-1 up, I thought, here we go. The fact they got themselves back into the game, the fact that Martin feels that the sending off was harsh, and the fact they came off the back of a good result in the European competition probably didn't help Celtic.
Yeah.
But my fear is that Hearts run out of legs and run out of quality
in the longer term.
In the longer term, I hope they don't, because I think it'll be good for Scottish football. But I think Rangers and Danny Rowe, as Bill alludes to, are the current success story that needs to be given some plaudits.
Are we being unkind, Bill, to Hearts in thinking that, and picking up on what Simon said, that Hearts might run out of legs here?
I don't think they will. I think at the start of the week I was worried for them because people talked about Lauren Shanklin. I said already I thought Cammy Devlin was a bigger loss, but they went out and got Mark Leonard from Birmingham City on loan, who was tremendous yesterday. They've got enough players up front. They're bringing in another striker, Rogers Matos, coming in from Macedonian football. I think Tony Bloom's arming Derek McInnes very well. They've used the transfer window very well. They're a physically very powerful team. They will regret yesterday. Alex Kuzarigas, the winger, missed 2 1-on-1s with Kasper Schmeichel, which could have really given him a fantastic lift in the title race. But they're still in it. They're still there. And I think one thing that won't happen is they may be reeled in by Rangers and Celtic doing well. I don't think they'll run out of energy.
What's your take on where Celtic are going at the moment, Bill? Does it feel any different second time around with Martin in interim to the first time?
I think he's had a lot of damage to repair. I think he's doing what Martin O'Neill does very, very well, better than most. Is he's managing players into a better place than they were in. He's got Callum McGregor back looking like himself again. I thought yesterday they dug in, they defended a lot, they broke. They weren't a dominant Celtic side. They were a Celtic side that was kind of clinging on a little bit. They looked a little bit leggy off the back of Thursday night. They got Trusty sent off, and I disagree with Martin. I thought it was a red card. But I think they'll have come away thinking, okay, it's another one we haven't lost. We're still in it. And somewhere along the line, Martin will get more of a tune out of this team. He has to get more of a tune out of them. So as long as he keeps them ticking, they're still in with a shout.
I mean, it's different, Simon, now, isn't it? And we both have got to know Martin very well now. But first time around, when I picked myself off the floor after Desmond Ford, it's now no longer a case of that. We know Martin, and we know
he knows
that he's in there and he wants to be.
Well, he knows he's been brought in to not just hold the fort for someone else to come through the door. He's been brought in to win the league. And when I talked about Hearts running out of legs, I didn't mean energy. I meant nous and wherewithal against two established powerhouses in Scottish football that know how to win the Scottish Premier League. That's what I meant when running out of legs. I didn't mean run out of physicality. As far as Martin is concerned, he's been brought in to win the league. And unless someone's going to lay a glove on Hearts and beat them between these two old firm teams, then Hearts are going to find their way to win the league. And I personally am subscribing to that view that I hope they do. I just got a feeling that because of the wherewithal, because of the way that Scottish football's been configured forever and a day, and there's a reason why no one else has won the league since Aberdeen. It's because there's a dominance and there's a know-how and there's a nous and there's an expectation. And I hope the orthodoxy gets broken, but I fear that it won't. And I'm surprised to see out of the two that's emerged, that Rangers have emerged. I'm not surprised at Danny Roll steadying the ship and getting far more of a tune out of the circumstances than his predecessor did. But I still feel that Martin will probably come to the fore and Celtic will possibly hunt Hearts down.
Okay. Bill, your head and your heart. I mean, I know you're a St Mirren man, aren't you, Mr. Leckie? But when
we've got a cup, we've got a cup. We're happy.
You've got a cup. You're happy, Bill.
Yeah.
What honestly do you think we're going to see from this point onwards? I mean, what in your view, Bill, and you've covered the game up there for so long, you know it inside out. I get into a taxi down here the other day, and we get talking about Scottish football, myself and a London cab driver, and he says, I presume your thinking is Hearts need to win this, to get in amongst the old firm, as Simon is rightly saying. I think that's generally the thought, isn't it? That Scottish football needs Hearts to win this thing.
Yeah, it would be great. It would upset things. It would disrupt. And I don't think Hearts would be a flash in the pan, because I think with the backing they've got now, I think they have I'm not saying they're going to go and dominate Scottish football, but I don't think they're a Leicester City who win it and then next season finish 14th or 15th or whatever. I think Hearts, if they win it, could become certainly a second or third force. My heart says Hearts because I'm with Simon. I really want them to win it. I think most neutrals want them to win it. Right now, as I say to you, I think Rangers are the team who have that grinding momentum, but I would not rule Martin O'Neill out from doing what Martin O'Neill does better than most people in football.
Brilliant, Bill. Terrific as always. Bill Leckie with us live this lunchtime, and we're live with you on talkSPORT. Jim White and Simon Jordan with Selco, where the trade goes. Thanks for all the messages and the texts and the tweets and the calls today. So many of you wanted to get through to Simon, of course, and World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit. So many of you managed to do that, and thank you for joining us. We've been with you with Selco, where the trade goes. Simon, as we go into the final part of the show today, I wanted to pinpoint two managers in the Premier League, two guys trying to steer their clubs to their best possible finish as they see it. At Crystal Palace, Oliver Glasner. At Bournemouth, the man who took Bournemouth to a win on Saturday, maybe an historic one against Liverpool, Andoni Iraola. Has there been a striking difference of temperament between the two of the league's most coveted managers? And they indeed fall into that category. Both men wanted by a whole host of different clubs. And we saw what Oliver Glasner said in recent times, talking about being abandoned by those at the top of the football club. And before Palace played at the weekend, Glasner was asked about that. You any regrets about talking about being abandoned?
I had a very long dinner with Steve this week, and we talked about this situation. Yeah, not to sell Mark. It's the timing and the possible replacement. I wanted to explain, and yeah, we talked. It was a very, very good talk for both of us. And when I said, I will give my best to play a great season, and Steve and me, we are 100% committed still. Yeah. Do I think it was the best way? No, I don't think so. But that's Oliver Glasner. I always told you, that's Oliver Glasner. I don't say I'm perfect, so I would like to be. On the other side, I never attacked anyone personally. I just explained my feelings about this situation.
That's Oliver Glasner for you, said Oliver Glasner. But here's the thing, Simon. We then look at Iraola, and before we go any further, you do view both of these men very highly, don't you?
Well, their work speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the quality of Bournemouth against the composition of their side, and the fact that they are routinely and regularly having their best players taken from underneath them. And you look at their attainment on the field, and you look at the manager's capabilities post the Gary O'Neill situation and post his initial bedding in. I think he's been a fabulous manager. I think Oliver Glasner has done a great job at Palace, and he needs to finish that job by finishing the season that he's contracted to finish in, irrespective of his slightly immature outburst, which I think hurt him more than it hurt anybody else. And he did this idea that he didn't single anybody out. Well, he did, didn't he? He singled out the board.
Yes,
as we've well established, the board is controlled by Steve Parish. If they've had their nice little cosy dinner and agreed to work and play nicely together with one another for the rest of the season, I think that's what Glasner should do. He should finish the season on the best way he possibly can. There's no obligation for him to sign a new contract. There never was. He was given an opportunity into the Premier League, a pathway by Palace. The difference between the two managers might be the story that they were told. I don't know what songs were sung to Oliver Glasner, because for me, he would have been told that the Palace situation in terms of their finances and how much they will and won't spend. The difference between him and Iraola is that he's won something.
Yeah.
He's won an FA Cup.
Yeah.
He has a right to want to kick on and be ambitious. I think his outburst last week was childish. I think it was childish.
Okay.
And immature and unprofessional. And he can have all those conversations with his owner. He doesn't have it with the media because he didn't like losing a game. The fans will give him a pass and say it's bleeding parish this and bleeding parish that. The fact that he's capable of being brought in from German football into the Premier League to manage a Premier League football club was the fact that Parish has created a football club in the last 10, 12 years, post my time there, that's been in the Premier League. So you've got to give cachet to the owner. And you've got to also look at why Palace don't spend money, because Parish hasn't got any money to spend. So you have to look at the other owners and go, well, why don't they, these billionaire other owners that have got investment in other football clubs, why aren't they making some cash available? Because we know that Palace's PSR headroom, whether it's a development of the stadium, whether that's actually going to happen, or other reasons, but the relationship between Glasner and Palace has been of mutual benefits. And the relationship for Iraola and Bournemouth has been of mutual benefit. They were both going to leave at some point, because the problem for the clubs like Palace and Bournemouth is unless you're allowed to kick on, which they're not because they're restricted, your manager and your best players get taken by those that can.
Sure, but when you look at both of them, is the difference surely not the fact that the tantrum we saw being thrown by Glasner is not a tantrum of any sort that we've seen from Iraola. Iraola has seen the likes of Dean Howson, Milos Kerkez and Zabaryani sold for 150 million quid from under his feet.
Yeah.
They've also sold Semenyo in the window, this window, to Manchester City.
But
we haven't had any Iraola tantrums about feeling abandoned.
But they might have done it in a more orderly format. They might have replaced him with players that he's comfortable with, and clearly Glasner is not. They might have given him more tools than Glasner. They might have sold a different story to him than they sold to Glasner. Glasner might have been told certain things by Parish that he now feels that he's now being undermined. I doubt that's the case. But, you never know, do you? And different personalities are different personalities. Glasner is more highly strung and speaks about himself in the third person, which I always find perplexing. People do that, a sign of some sort of degree of ego, but notwithstanding it, you need to have an ego to be a football manager.
Yeah.
And I think he's done a great job at Palace. Now, it's important that he finishes the job that he's done and works with the tools that he's got. It's difficult to see Palace giving him a lot of money in this summer, because why are you giving money to a manager that doesn't want to manage the club? So both are caught in a difficult situation. The only solution to Glasner was give him more backing in the summer, but even then there would be no guarantee. Even then there's nothing going to stop. If he continued to punch above his weight, then you know that a so-called bigger club is going to come along and take your manager. So you're always in this balancing act when you've got a club like Crystal Palace or Bournemouth, where you're trying to be ambitious as best you can. You're trying to be forward-thinking and plan for the future and use all the resources that you've got, which is a good academy system, a good reach in South London, a good reputation as a football club, an established Premier League position, and get people like Oliver Glasner in. But the flip side of that is, and Iraola at Bournemouth, is that there's a consequence to it. And just because they've got different styles, I think Glasner's outburst last week was absurd. I do. I think he's got every right to be upset about the circumstances.
Will that prevent him going to a next level job?
Well, I don't think it helps him. But people
will it damage him?
Well, I don't think it helps him. So, people will look at that and think that was a rather... I'm not alone in this thought process, because I have the mindset, albeit it's a long time ago now, of a former owner, and I look at them and think, well, what was that about when something comes your way? Because the argument about Gehi was that I should have been able to keep him for the weekend. Well, that's assuming that the player wanted to do that. That's assuming that Palace were comfortable with putting somebody on a field that potentially was £20 million worth of player that they could have got £60 million for 18 months ago, and they're now getting £20 million for, and it was better than nothing. With a manager that doesn't want to be there because he's already told him in October he doesn't want to be there. So there's a lot of moving parts. So I understand all of it.
If you're a big club owner, Simon, sorry to interrupt you. Now I want to get to this, and we'll finish with this today. If you're a big club owner and you're looking at taking your club to the next level, do you go for Glasner, who's kind of the odd tantrum now and again, prone to them, or do you go for Iraola?
Well, if you've got the opportunity to speak to both, you'd speak to both, don't you? Because you can only gain things by first-hand experience of these guys. And Glasner will he's a strong personality.
So would temperament sway your decision?
Yes and no. Depends what I saw from them when I spoke to them. I mean, I would judge that instance in isolation, and then I would judge it by confronting him with the reality of what that situation looked like, so that I didn't see a replication of it in my environment. Because I'll tell you what, when you come in here, if that's what we do, you're going to be given pretty much all you want, but not all of it. So if you don't get given all you want, do I get that? Is that what I get? Because if I do, no thank you. And and then you can see the whites of people's eyes, can't you? Then you see the real person rather than the construct that you see in other people's environment without having the full backstory. Or you pick managers that have no reason for being picked, they've got no form, and you find yourself relegated to League One.
I will see the whites of your eyes tomorrow morning at 10. Simon, thank you. Thanks to Emmanuel Petit. Thanks to the seismic reaction to Emmanuel Petit from everybody out there today. And remember tonight, Everton Leeds, a talkSPORT exclusive commentary from Sam Matterface and former Manchester United captain Steve Bruce. Lovely. It's 1 o'clock.